are the baseball player. You're the author, the athlete, the Renaissance man, as Jen calls you, of the group. But baseball was was it the first passion for you early on, or was smacking heads on the football field the first passion?
Oh no, there wasn't no smacking heads on the football field because I was overweight. So that had to take a back seat to the baseball because there were no weight limits or weigh-ins on the diamond. So that was my first love.
Okay, all right. So we'll let our own baseball guru Preston Thorne break some stuff down here as well. Like I said, this hour in particular, we'll get into some expectations. We talked about that. Get into some expectations for South Carolina baseball for Paul Maneri. We'll hear from him also assessing his roster before SEC play. And maybe we'll take a trip down for you. I think for all of us, memory lane to what I would say kind of like coach's pitch. When did you have a team name or did you have a sponsor?
Same thing, yeah. I just want to just bathe in the nostalgia of just hearing some old team names and sponsors and things like that. Things that unfortunately we've taken away from our kids because we all think we need to be in travel ball now. So.
Yes, but no, we'll get into that a lot this hour. Also, get you ready a little bit for some basketball. Man, I tell you what, last night, Preston, I think I told you, I don't remember if it was on air, off air, I forget exactly where. I told you that, I was just kind of struggling with college basketball. I was kind of fighting there to find my way into it. Last night I found my way into it. Fully invested in Kentucky and Tennessee. There's a something happening at Kentucky that I tweeted about last night. Well, there's two things happening. There's one that's actually legitimately related to Kentucky. There's actually another thing that's happening at Kentucky over the last few games that I think is another element of what went wrong for the University of South Carolina in Lamont Paris this year. And I hadn't really thought about it because he had not played in the first 5 games, Preston Thorne, but Trent Noah was by the fact that South Carolina was having such a good year. But Lamont Paris goes out, and there's a lot of angles to this story, actually. Lamont Paris goes out and secures a commitment from Kentucky's Mr. Basketball, Trent Noah, 6'6" guard, one of the top scorers ever to come through the state of Kentucky. One of the top scorers ever. Absolutely phenomenal shooter. The videos of him started to get better and better as his senior year went on. He was a 6'6", 220, 225-pound high school senior, could shoot the lights out of it. John Calipari said, no, we don't like your kind. You're not a 4-star. You're not a 5-star. You're probably not a 1. You're not a one and done. We don't need you. John Calipari did not recruit Trent Noah. I don't even know if he even knew his name. And so Lamont Paris gets in there, has some connections with that part of the country, gets in there and secures a commitment over Butler, over a few other schools. Well, Trent Noah hadn't been playing this year, so we hadn't thought about it. Trent Noah has started to play, and he started to play really well. Last night against Tennessee, 11 points, 3 of 4 shooting from three-point range. And this is a guy that as I was watching last night play more and more and more, I thought, man, because what happened, John Calipari goes to Arkansas, Mark Pope comes in, and Mark Pope looks around and is like, a heady, high basketball IQ shooter? Huh. That seems like a pretty good guy to have on your team.
Also a local guy.
Local guy, yeah, Mr. Kentucky in basketball. And he offers him, and as is in Kentucky, when Kentucky comes calling, you go home. And I got 2 questions for you on this that I thought about last night. Is it better to have loved and lost, to have gotten Trent Noah for a year, and he comes here and plays really well, and then Mark Pope go, transfer portal, we should bring him home? Or for him just to go into Kentucky and we never know what we didn't have?
Oh, yeah, it's probably best that we just didn't know so that we don't have to lose that. So especially if the circumstances played out and you could play what-if games all the time. But if he would have been involved in this year, pretty sure he would have been looking for another place to go. So, yeah, it's better that never happened.
Yeah, I on Saturday against South Carolina, he had 5 points. He also had 5 rebounds in 13 minutes of action. It's just another element to kind of what has gone wrong, and we'll get you ready for the game tonight. The other part of that, Preston, John Calipari's one-and-done teams were kind of hard to watch. Egotistical, a lot of swagger, just hard to like, hard to watch. Mark Pope's teams, kind of enjoyable to watch.
Okay.
Ball's moving, shots are flying, high fives are being given. It's kind of as I watched them play Tennessee last night, it's kind of like, this Mark Pope guy, if he's successful, he might be a pretty big deal.
So even though Cal went in there and won, the Kentucky fans still feel like they got the best end of this deal.
Yes.
They're still happy with the situation.
I think they're a little still peeved that they didn't win, 2 weeks ago on a Saturday night.
Mm-hmm.
Came in there and got them, but got into that last night. Michigan-Purdue was a really good game as well. Florida goes on the road and knocks off Mississippi State. Auburn jumps out to a huge lead over Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt comes back. Auburn goes on to win that game to set up the first ever. Learned this last night watching. The first ever in the SEC, number 1 versus number 2 showdown Saturday night, Alabama and Auburn. Alabama upheld their end of the bargain late, knocking off Texas in Austin.
This was bothering me since yesterday when you said Michigan, Purdue, Gene Katie. I just want to say that because my mom, I could not come up with the name yesterday, and I didn't Google it. My mind's just probably couldn't sleep last night just because I was just like, I missed that shot, man. Gene Katie.
You got your Glenn Big Dog Robinson.
I got that one in, but I was going for Gene Katie, and I just could not find it because all I see with Gene Katie is had a pretty bad comb over there that was working, and I imagine what I thought it looked like then. I give him some grace now that I'm a little bit older, but yeah, I just could not find it yesterday, so I feel a lot better right now.
Allowed to do that, that's no problem. So it was a good night, couple upsets. Goes on the road and knocks off number 11 Michigan State 71-67. Kansas State at home knocks off number 13 Arizona 73-70 in that ball game. I guess it's an upset. Connecticut, unranked Connecticut that I talked to you yesterday about, goes on the road and knocks off number 24 Creighton. It really was.
I mean, they have the best coach in the country, right?
Yes. Well, I think they do. He definitely is. Dan Hurley there at Connecticut. But it was really good night. Really good night. Kind of got me geared up a little bit more for March Madness coming up here in roughly about a month. But tonight, South Carolina will host Mississippi. Number 19, Mississippi. Chris Beard come into Colonial Life Arena, 7 o'clock. That game, we'll have it for you. Pregame right here, 6:30, 7 o'clock tip-off. We'll have it for you, 107.5 the game and 100.3 the game in Myrtle Beach. So we will get into that just a little bit. The Gamecocks try to
get a win. Try to get off zero. They try to get a win.
Whatever you're trying to do, it all starts with getting a win.
Yeah, they're 0-10. They need to get one, uno, solo, one win. And then we can figure everything else out after that.
12 guys gather around Jordan Butler and go, we promise we're going to get this one for you. Jordan Butler, if you don't know, 0-29 in the SEC play. 0-19 last year with Missouri. 0-10 this year so far with the Gamecocks. So we'll get into that, talk a little NFL as well. Cam Newton yesterday. And Steve Smith.
Those are two dudes who, though they're in different height classes, you would love to see square up on each other. And they would both like to do it. Right. Very interesting combination of personalities there. When you see Cam Newton and Steve Smith and you know those personalities, and I just think of my little golden retriever and Travell Wharton, like, how did he play with those dudes? Like, how did he managed to survive between those two?
I think the first request was, can I have my locker all the way over there? Is there a corner or be in? We'll get into that. Also, video servicing. Did you see this last night? Speaking of taking some L's and some back and forth, the video surfacing last night of a John Rocker, Patrick Mahomes Sr. square off in New Orleans this past weekend.
I did see that. I did.
Mahomes family taking L's left and right on the weekend.
I did see that.
You did see it. Barstool Sports obtained a video of a little brouhaha in the streets on Bourbon Street. It looks to be on Bourbon Street of Patrick Mahomes Sr., who apparently, and I've got to go back and dig to see exactly which team it was, but was a teammate of John Rocker somewhere on the Major League Baseball. As they started becoming journeymen, somewhere along the line, journeyman status crossed paths.
Yeah, and
so not quite as random as you would think, but it was still pretty random to see that video pop.
Yeah, I know exactly what happened in that. I don't know for sure what happened in that, but I got an idea.
So we'll get into some NFL this morning. Talk a lot of baseball, a little bit of basketball later on today, and get into that. If you want to be a part of the program, 803-404-6100 is how you can win.
I too have one teammate who might be on site for us, so I get it. I get it. I understand.
All right. Yeah.
Don't shake my hand now, brother. We not friends. Just because we played on the same team, we are not friends.
803-404-6100 will come back. We'll let you listen to a little bit of Aaron Fitt. We'll talk some baseball expectations as we get ready for Friday's opening pitch. You're listening to Bill Gunner, Preston Thorne, Jen Jensen. It is the early game.
Yeah, apparently we're not doing that right this second. So let's what else can you talk about for another minute?
Patrick Mahomes Sr. pass. So, we got that. All right, radio marathon session here as a little technical difficulty. Baseball America, Preston, this is doing sports talk, having my own opinions, but also looking around and seeing kind of what other people say. It's always fascinating. And I feel like at South Carolina, we've been treated the last few years to wild, uh, I'm going to say national, but in this situation with baseball, it was the SEC coaches that voted South Carolina 14th out of the 16 team league. But we go back, we've seen wild expectations. 2 years ago, last year, we saw, I guess, South Carolina basketball voted 16th out of 16, to which we then got a nice little soliloquy from
The math equation. Well, really, if you see 16, how could they actually be 16? It was a long equation. Paul didn't go quite that route, but he just said, I don't think that's factual.
We'll get into it. I think we're good now. You're listening to the early game. You got a teammate.
Yeah, Scott.
It's Jen for CHW Cabinetry in Lexington. We had the demolition we had to do in our kitchen. Had a flood and had to completely gut the kitchen and start from scratch. I can promise you, I was not in the mood for looking for any kind of cabinetry. But somebody recommended to us CHW Cabinetry. We went there. It was a great experience. Took a lot of the stress off of us. Then we got the photorealistic rendering of the finished kitchen that helped us see a picture of our kitchen before it was even done. And we could take that when we went to try to find the flooring and the countertops and everything else. So that was perfect. But they can do so many other things. They can help you get a little more functional in your pantry. Maybe put some drawers in there. If you have those wire hanging racks in your closet and you're tired of that, you want something to give you a little bit more space and organization in a closet, home office workspace, they can help with that as well. CHWCabinetry.com. Call them today at 803-520-6837 and be sure to tell them Jen Jensen sent you. CHW Cabinetry in Lexington, passion from inspiration to installation. Looking pretty good out there this morning. We do have some wet roadways and a little bit of fog out there. No accidents to report at this time, so we're certainly welcoming that. 46 with showers today. Just going to be kind of cold and damp, with a little bit of rain. And tomorrow, maybe a couple of morning thunderstorms, but the temperatures bump up about 20 degrees. It should be 66 tomorrow. Opening day, looking for sunny skies and 56. And Saturday, not looking quite as ominous. Maybe a couple showers in the morning, but maybe clearing for the afternoon. So fingers crossed on that for game 2. Right now, it's a little bit overcast, a little misty, 38 on the early game.
Have two former teammates. We move furniture when I see them. No smiling in my face.
It happens, man. Listen.
85 of you. You can't be friends with the other 84 dudes.
Yeah, there's a lot of folks on the football team, an overwhelming majority. Matter of fact, all of them except one. And if you just happen to see that one, and that one comes up to you, is like, "Hey, man, how's it going?" You're like, "Nah, we don't get down like that. It's fine." Bourbon Street's a large place. Keep it moving.
Yeah, there's two sides of the street. Coordinate the switch at the very end.
Right.
But no, it's funny. Barstow had some good videos. There's another one that I'd like to get the background on of a guy on a horse somewhere who hits a road sign and flies off the horse. But it was an interesting.
It was New Orleans.
It was last night, by the way, for me at least personally, was it's bad weather around here, cold, rainy. It was a couch night with potato soup and a lot of basketball. So I spent more time on Twitter than I have, or X, whatever we're calling it these days, than I have in a long, long time. 803-404-6100. One of the things that will get me off the couch, get a lot of you off the couch this coming weekend, South Carolina and Sacred Heart. We know Dylan Eskew gets the ball on Friday. We know Matthew Becker gets the ball on Saturday. We now know Jake McCoy gets the ball on Sunday. So the Gamecocks have their rotations set up. That's going to be interesting to watch. Matter of fact, you can go to our website, go to 1075thegame.com, click on the contest tab, and it's the Gamecock Traditions Over-Under Contest. This week, it's baseball themed. Ethan Petrie, over-under, 1.5 home runs this weekend versus Sacred Heart. I go over.
Ooh.
I go over kind of large on that, actually.
Well, that'd be going well. That'd be a good thing.
Yeah. But go to 1075thegame.com, click on contest, pick the over-under of the week. You could win a Gamecock Traditions gift card. Just pick the over-under, and if you have it right and we pick you, you win a Gamecock Traditions gift card. Again, this week it's Ethan Petrie, over-under, 1.5 home runs in the entire series, 3-game series, against Sacred Heart. Petrie's a guy that we talk about expectations here. We're going to hear from Aaron Fitt in just a second on expectations for South Carolina as a whole. But, Preston, it feels like Ethan Petrie is in his 7th year here because, again, kind of like we talked about with Asia Wilson, kind of like we talked about, he exploded onto the scene early, and I remember still, and I can't remember if you were here that day, he came in to do one of the Garnet Trust podcasts. I think whatever's happened to the board back here, I think his name. But I remember realizing just how physically big he was, he is, but how big he was as a freshman.
Oh, he's a puppy.
Yeah.
Look at the pause on that puppy. Yeah, I mean, his first year was outstanding. And he made all the lists, every postseason accolade that you can have. And he kind of jumped out of, if you're not paying that much attention to baseball recruiting, he probably kind of came out of nowhere to a lot of folks who were fans. And so that was exciting. Last year, he had a really good year.
I think last year as a whole just sucked the life. It tended to suck the life. They were good. They weren't as good as the year prior.
That's it. That's exactly how you would do it. Very, very similar. They were good, but not as good as the year prior. And then just the energy around the team wasn't as vibrant, and so maybe folks forgot. But he's somebody, and he also was dealing with a little bit of injury issues last year also. So he's somebody that I'm looking forward to seeing what he does this year.
Let's hear from Aaron. 1 and 5 D1 baseball. Now, this is expectations for the entire. 1 and 5 D1 baseball. Now, this is expectations for the entire. 1 and 5 D1 baseball. Now, this is expectations for the entire. 1 and 5 D1 baseball. Now, this is expectations for the entire. 1 and 5 D1 baseball. Now, this is expectations for the entire. 1 and 5 D1 baseball. Now, this is expectations for the entire. 1 and 5 D1 baseball. Now, this is expectations for the entire. 1 and 5 D1 baseball. Now, this is expectations for the entire. 1 and 5 D1 baseball. Now, this is expectations for the entire. 1 and 5 D1 baseball. Now, this is expectations for the entire. 1 and 5 D1 baseball. Now, this is expectations for the entire. 1 and 5 D1 baseball. Now, this is expectations for the entire. 1 and 5 D1 baseball. Now, this is expectations for the entire. 1 and 5 D1 baseball. he had to say.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. I'm still trying to get a feel for it, to be honest with you. You know, I mean, it feels like this team is lying in the weeds a little bit. You know, the spotlight is not going to be on them. I don't know if anybody's picking them, you know, to be certainly not a top 25 team. I don't think. I don't think they've been ranked anywhere. And
I don't think so.
I don't know that people even expect them necessarily to be a regional team. And so it's not a bad place to be when you're a program that has some talent and certainly has pedigree. I mean, this team has a chance to surprise people because there are guys here. I mean, there's, you know, there's some players that have experience of winning and, you know, superstar players like Ethan Petrie, I guess a superstar player, Ethan Petrie. We know how good that guy is. And, you know, I don't know. It's just how good are they going to be? I mean, that's a great question. Obviously, we're not really buying in. We're, again, not picking them to be in a regional, but I'm also not going to say, they got no chance. They stink. I think they're absolutely a contender to be a regional team, but it's just the SEC. There's so many good teams in this league. You got to jump some. And so, you know, I think Palmineri has been around the block a few times. He certainly has a knack for getting the most out of the players on his roster and pulling the right levers at the right time as you get into the season. I think his in-season adjustments is one of the most impressive things about him. Is I feel like every year, you know, at LSU, he'd come up with some guy who was like a position player only, and all of a sudden he's a key pitcher or vice versa. Some guy you never heard of who just emerges, you know, in May, and is the guy for him. And so that's something to keep an eye on is which levers is he going to pull in key spots down the stretch.
Some interesting stuff there. It is, to me, really interesting, Preston, from the standpoint of this team went 37-25 last year. This team last year was 13-17 in the SEC. But, Preston, they made a regional. And quite honestly, I feel like if Mark Kingston was here, and this is why you make a coaching change, if Mark Kingston's here, they'd probably be picked 14th. They'd probably still be expected to make it regional. And it doesn't feel like the coaching change has gotten you that kind of coaching change buzz because, as you heard Aaron Fitz say, that they got players, and then he highlighted Ethan Petrie. But then it's almost like people are like, they got a national championship coach, they got good players, but look, there's 13 other teams that are just flat better than them, and it doesn't feel like we really necessarily know that.
Yeah, we don't. We can only go by what the talent is. But I think what I gathered from the 7 years that Mark Kingston was here is that I don't think Mark Kingston and his coaching style or his pedigree, whatever you want to call it, was able to get more out of a team than what a team had. The teams that he had never overachieved. And I guess that's what I'm banking on with Palmineri. I'm thinking he's going to make them play the right way, do the little things, blah, blah, blah. That's going to help them overachieve, maybe over-index the actual talent that's on the roster. And so that's where I can see the jumps being made, and that's where I think the coaching really makes a difference.
803-404-6100, our good buddy Jan weighs in. I know he'll be out there bright and early on Friday morning. Says, can't wait. And I think that's the general expectation for South Carolina. We can't wait. It's like going down as a 5 or 6 or 7 year old on Christmas morning. I don't know what I got. I have no clue what's under the tree. I have no clue what's in the boxes, but I'm excited about it and I want to see it.
That is a great analogy because the previous baseball season felt like a teenager coming down for Christmas morning. Like, do I have to get up early? Ugh. Okay.
So yeah, it's we'll continue. We'll talk more about it. Let you hear a little bit more from Palmineri as he analyzed the South Carolina roster earlier this week, and then we'll also get some honoring of opening days. What do you remember about your opening? Pretty much, I feel like that's one thing we can all say we went through was the 6, 7, 8-year-old opening day of a little league somewhere where you had picture day and you had the jamboree or you had whatever. We'll get into that as well. 803-404-6100. You're listening to the early game.
Press here for the good folks at Integrated Media. We've been trying to tell you all year that you need to give them a call so you can get your outdoor setup ready. Well, You missed the big game. You missed the Super Bowl. You missed the most viewed women's game in this season. That does not mean it's too late because baseball season is on the way, and the good folks at Integrated Media can help you get your outdoor setup ready. You can get Samsung Terrace TVs that are waterproof, Sonos outdoor speakers for TV and music, Wi-Fi that works indoors and outdoors. Or my personal favorite, you can control all your devices from just one remote. So whether it's home theater setup or adjusting your thermostat, maybe it's monitoring your security system from your cell phone, Integrated Media is the company that you need to call. So call Nathan and Michael at 803-948-8327. That's 803-948-8327. Or you can reach them online at integratedmediainc.com. That's online at integratedmediainc.com.
Looks like we do have an accident 977 northbound at Blythewood Road. Be cautious there and just be careful overall because we do have wet highways that could be messing things up just a little bit. And a little bit of patchy dense fog out there. Again, 46 will be our high with some showers today. Some morning showers, maybe even a thunderstorm in the morning. But boy, we bump up the temperatures. It'll be 66 tomorrow, 56 on Friday with some mostly sunny conditions. And Saturday looking like maybe a little bit of rain in the morning, high of 61. But then it should be cloudy in the afternoon, maybe some rain picking up again Saturday night. So fingers crossed for game 2 on Saturday. Right now, it's 38 on the early game.
northern version. A slice of pie and a pop.
Yeah, the pie. Yep, that sounds right. No, yeah, the pop is always a tough one.
Go by, I believe Village Idiot has a special asparagus pizza for the month. I'll have to go back and pull that up and get you the ingredients there for that, Preston, and see if that would entertain you. But yeah, the Schroeder's Towing Roadshow rolling on from Village Idiot. That'll be on the Whaley Street one there, right there down from the stadium. So you can actually walk from the stadium over to Village Idiot, have a couple slices of pie, enjoy some time with Jay and with Terry and with Elijah and everybody as we'll be over there for the Schroeder's Towing Roadshow. 803-404-6100. How you can weigh in if you want to do so this morning. Again, we were talking expectations, Preston. We were talking expectations for South Carolina baseball. Nobody's going to do a better job of assessing his team because he's seen it than Paul Maneri.
That makes sense. He's the only one he's been privy to the information. He's seen them, and he has the background knowledge of comparing what this team has done compared to what he's seen teams do in the past. And so that's why I'm a little bit more likely to listen to what he has to say because he has that wealth of background knowledge.
So let's hear this. This is him. He was on the post-game show earlier this week with Jay and Elijah. This is him evaluating the roster before SEC play begins. Here's what he had to say about that roster and trying to evaluate them during the course of non-conference play.
Well, that's a really good question because, the bottom line is we're playing in a really tough conference, the best conference in America, and we're priming ourselves to get into postseason play and make a deep run in the NCAA tournament. So you have to set your standards really high. So what may work against some non-conference schools, not to take anything away from them, but what may work against some other schools may not work in the SEC. And so it's hard for me to specifically determine and tell you what exactly we're looking for, but we're just trying to make the team as tough as we can against the best competition possible. And fortunately, we have a tremendous series in the third weekend of the season against Clemson, and that's as good a team as you'll find in the SEC as well. So we're going to get a good idea of where we stand that weekend. And so it kind of expedites, trying to push our team to become as good as we can as early as we can. But I've always said this, for all the years that I coached in the SEC, well, even before that when I was at Notre Dame, I want our team to continually get better during the course of the season. And there may be a move or two that you have to make later in the season to strengthen your team. You give somebody an opportunity early, or they're not getting many opportunities early, but you keep giving them a chance, here and there, maybe as a defensive replacement. But then when they get their at bat, they do something special. And then later on in the year, you say, okay, maybe this kid can be a spark for us. And you put him in and he does some great things. And so my goal is always, I don't think we can win a national championship in February and early March. We're going to try to win every game that we play. But at the same time, we have to find out who are the guys we can really count on.
Funny he says, so compare and contrast that for a second. I'm putting up a poll because let's do some of this on expectations. I'm putting up a poll and I'll get to it in just a second on Twitter. But he mentioned finding guys that can make plays later in the year. And you heard Aaron Fitz say, oh, one of the great things about Paul Maneri is out of nowhere in about May, you got a guy who might have been a left fielder that's now a closer or a reliever or is pitching, and you saw this guy come out of nowhere. That's exactly what
I was thinking when I was listening to that clip again, because that's what it seems like he's known for in the industry, and that takes a certain level of wisdom and confidence to be able to coach guys throughout the season. And again, listening to his statement, his level of expectations, we are priming ourselves for a deep postseason run. Not as if he's taking these non-con games for granted, but he's saying, yes, we should win these games, and we're priming ourselves to get ready when the real season starts, and we have to be ready for that. So I think it's a level of mindset that his mindset matches what I think the fans have as far as expectations of the season is concerned.
So talk expectations. So I ask you this. I'm going to put a poll question out with 4 options here. and it's your expectations. What are your expectations for South Carolina baseball in 2025 and Paul Maneri's opening season? Just be competitive. Tough conference, I get it. If you just want to say just be competitive, that's kind of my way of saying, all right, you don't have to make any kind of postseason in year one. Regional is acceptable. We better be super, which means you got to get to the super regionals, or it's Omaha or bust in year one. And look, Preston, I can see both 1 and 4. Just be competitive, being okay with some people in year one. I can also see those Gamecock fans are going to be like, no, you won a national championship. We made it to regionals under Mark Kingston, and not knocking Mark Kingston, but we made it to regionals under Mark Kingston, and he was a guy that couldn't coach his way out of a paper bag. We've got a real coach in here now. I expect to be in the regionals. I expect to be in Omaha.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I think the industry is saying that they don't see necessarily the talent-wise. Paul Maneri is saying that he sees more talent than maybe the industry sees, so there's a little conflict in that. I guess my expectation is that when we finish these, as the season progresses, we're not going to see as many of the fundamental things that we saw go wrong last year. Runners being left on base, walks in crucial situations, errors, things of that nature. Now, they might get beat because maybe they're not as talented, but I don't think you'll see them beating themselves as much. And so if they do those things, I imagine their record will be
I think it was
better.
you that I was talking about last year and your baseball background. There were things that would happen and you'd be like base running, and you're just like, whew, that doesn't seem very fundamentally sound.
Yeah, there would be a lot of issues that they seem to not take advantage of opportunities and also beat themselves, and they weren't talented enough to overcome those things. And so I think there is a renewed emphasis on playing the game the right way, and I think that will lead to some victories in the margins.
So the poll question I've posted, you can go to X at Will, W-I-L, Gunter, G-U-N-T-E-R. What are your expectations for South Carolina baseball in 2025 and Paul Maneri's opening season? Just be competitive. Regional is acceptable. Be super regional. Omaha or bust. What is fair? What is fair?
They need to be better than they were last year.
So you're saying be super regional.
That's cool with me.
Be super regional.
Why do we make a change?
That's a great question. It's a great point because, like I said, the one thing it does feel about this is that Paul Maneri's coming in. You hear him kind of say it. He's not coming in like Shane Beamer came in, where we're like, boy, just be 500.
He's not walking into a locker room full of losers like Cam Newton.
Yeah, oh boy, wait till we get to that. He's not also walking into a situation like Lamont Paris did, where the roster got blown up and he had to go into the portal and fight it. He returns guys who have pitched, Dylan Eskew, Matthew Becker, Jake McCoy. He returns a stud in Ethan Petrie. He's got a good freshman, was supposedly a good freshman until he plays, I don't know, in KJ Scobie. He's got guys on this roster. Talmadge Lecroy has been around and played a lot of baseball. He's got guys on this roster who have played. This isn't like 25 guys transferred out, most of your starters transferred out, and you don't know what to do. He's got guys from a team that, again, went 37-25, and I think a lot of people last year would have said they were 37-25 because they didn't have the right coach.
In spite of, or not necessarily because. I just expect this team to win. I don't think when you look back on the schedule last year or the game season as it played out, I don't think you could ever say they won games because of coaching. And I think you'll get some more of those this year.
803-404-6100 if you want to weigh in on those expectations, or go to my Twitter, at Will, W-I-L, Gunter, G-U-N-T-E-R. We'll finish up the hour next. Bill Gunter for the Mortgage Guru, Jacob Crowder with First Palmetto Bank. Have you thought about refinancing? I know I have. I'm keeping an eye on the interest rates. And if you have thought about refinancing, or if you have thought about moving, the very first thing you need to do is contact First Palmetto Bank and Jacob Crowder today to see what interest rates are available to you, to see what finances you can obtain, what money is available, what your monthly mortgage payments are going to be. These are the important questions when you go to purchase a home. Oh, sure, you can find that dream home, but can you afford it? You need to call Jacob Crowder today, 803-719-1005. Reach out to him and see what the Mortgage Guru can do for you. He did that for me about 4 years ago, got me a great interest rate. The process was smooth. He was there to kind of hold my hand, if you will, all the way through the process. So call Jacob Crowder today, 803-719-1005. Tell him Bill Gunter sent you.
Hey, Columbia, if you're looking for some place to tackle your lawn and get your power equipment, look no further than Cato's Power Equipment. Cato's Power Equipment has been family-owned and serving the Midlands since 1983, and they've been helping everyone from weekend warriors to professional landscapers. Yes, since 1983. That's over 40 years. Third-generation owner Ben Cato provides top-notch service, great deals, and the mom-and-pop values that you love. And Ben is determined to raise the standard of sales, service, and retail. At Cato's, they're proud to offer a big selection of new and pre-owned mowers, tractors, and more. So if you're ready to invest in something new, then the friendly team is there to help you make the process easy. You choose the right equipment, find financing, and keep your gear running with expert service and parts. So swing by Cato's Power Equipment today. Call them at 803-254-3711. That's 803-254-3711.
6:49 as we get you up and get you going on your Wednesday morning, kind of a dreary Wednesday morning here in the Midlands. Not baseball weather, not the kind of weather we get excited about, not the weather that we all would have on opening day when we were little kids and you would, for the first time, I don't know if your parents were like mine, where what you would have occur is you can't wear your uniform until opening day. You can't get the white pants. So we got a brand new set of white pants for you.
Of course.
You can't get you can wear your hat. You can wear your hat to practice, but you can't wear your uniform. Those were the days we all looked forward to, Preston.
Why on earth do they put kids? My kid played baseball from age 5 until he was almost a freshman. Why the white pants for kids? I don't get
Gotta
it.
be pristine.
Clay is a nightmare. I mean, I grew up like that was the adjustment moving here because everything was, the black dirt up there and all the clay. And it's like, that's all the moms talked about is, can you use iron out to get the clay out and try this? I mean, like all these concoctions.
All the different.
Where are the gray and black pants?
Oh, the good old days of Simply Green. That was a big thing in the Thorne household.
Hold on, I'll just tell you, we had you think there's controversies in life. We had at age 11 or 12, one team wanted to wear black pants. They were red. And they had a red with black lettering. And the league about lost their mind. And one of my best friends was on the team who was going to wear the black pants. And the parents paid, the parents paid. It wasn't like they petitioned the league and the league had to give money. They went over here to Todd Moore, to TNT Sports, whatever it was, and bought black pants. And they looked really sharp. They looked really good. And the league, you'd have thought Lexington Baseball's league, Lexington Dixie Youth, they stroked out. It was bad. I'm telling you, it was quite the controversy.
It can happen, man. And the uniforms were a big part of the deal. So 803-404-6100. I want a little bit of a roll call here. Let's do a little bit of a roll call. I want to get your field and your team. So, for instance, Preston Thorne, Doty Field, George's Discount. That was my team that I played for. So I played at Doty Field, and I played for George's Discount. Now, I have to be honest with you. Somerville's not a huge town. I don't know if George's Discount was the actual store. I don't know. It was a phantom organization. May have been a shell corporation for them to run the scheme. Also, I did play on a team that was accused very frequently of maybe fixing the draft a little bit on occasions, but I played for George's Discount. Our team did wear black pants. Black and gold were our colors. Okay. So I want to know some of the teams, your field and your team. Bill?
I'm trying to do this with a giving, because I feel like now we're doing advertising, so I got to give proper credit. But, I mean, this would be a 10 and 11-year-old Bill. It was one of the best teams I played on, and we were green. We were Somerville, basically. Okay. We were Somerville. We were green and gold, and it was Palmetto Lawn and Leisure.
Nice.
Palmetto Lawn and Leisure.
Nice.
I played for a team where we had white jerseys. I'm sure that made all the moms had. We were white and blue. We had white jerseys with blue and red lettering that I believe was Backman's Auto way back in the day. And I think it was Adam Backman, I believe. I hope I'm saying that correctly now that I'm saying this out loud. His, the son of the owner of the store was on our team.
A lot of times that's how it works.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember what else. Because, those were, it's funny. It is funny Lexington was huge with Dixie Youth Baseball back then. Tommy Williams was really running Lexington High Baseball, and it was a top-down organization all the way. I mean, it was uniformed from T-ball through your senior year of baseball, and that was the reason Lexington baseball in the 90s was absolutely indestructible. Was phenomenal. Produced lots of great players coming out. But it is funny how I can remember like the villains. That
was us. George's Discount.
Oh wow,
we was ballers. We had a couple of teams that were in contention. Coburg was pretty good. There was a couple other squads, but everybody wanted to beat George's Discount. And looking back, it's very interesting how many players we had that ended up playing varsity baseball. Yeah. I think we might have
stacked the deck.
I don't know how it happened.
I'm so envious. We didn't have a named field. It was like at St. Pat's there was a field available, or something like that. But I can remember being on the Mugs and Suds team.
Okay.
So this is more like the Bad News Bears. It's like the local bar with your sponsor. And it's like great Mugs and Suds.
Yeah.
Great.
This the local teams that are sponsored by an area establishment or things of that nature.
It was Lexington baseball at 30 years ago. It was Dixie, and maybe it wasn't. Maybe I'm just overly dramatic, but I know out there at Ballpark Road, which at that time was across from Wildcat Hollow. Or it is, I guess now technically it's across from the Blowfish. They've built the new Blowfish stadium, but it was intense, man.
Oh, for sure.
It was intense.
803-404-6100. Field, team. I want to hear some of these. Just bathe me in I'm just going for nostalgia here, because nowadays we all have travel teams, and nobody has a team, and nobody has a season, and nobody has a ballpark. Let's just go back.
Danny weighs in. Kaufman Park, Boozer Lumber.
There we go. That's what I want to hear.
Co-pilot weighs in. Giraldi Park, Porter Gas.
Yes.
Y'all be all come in with the Giraldi Park. I'll get to these.
Yes.
Get to these. It's the early game. Bill Gunner for Mid-State Roofing. It's a little rainy this morning. Actually, it's been a little rainy the last 2 mornings, and I hope you are not discovering a leak. I hope you're not finding a leak. Now, if you find a leak, let Mid-State Roofing take a peek. But I tell you what, the thing to do is to get out ahead of it, whether it's your home, whether it's your business, from high-rises to hospitals, manufacturing to industrial. Mid-State Roofing designs and installs bonded systems with a protective guarantee that keeps your operation dry and running long into the future. And they do that 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You give them a phone call. I know that right now, 6:56 a.m. on a Wednesday morning, but if you call Mid-State Roofing right now, you've discovered a leak. If you give them a phone call, you'll speak with an on-call technician who will help you with a maintenance contract and make sure they get that leak taken care of. So call Mid-State Roofing today. Tell them Bill Gunner sent you. 803-356-1919. Again, that's Mid-State Roofing.
Decker Boulevard at Percival Road, we have a report of a tie-up, as well as I-20 westbound at Alpine Road. I-77 northbound at Blythewood Road, also an accident. And in downtown Columbia, Senate at Park Street. So Senate Street at Park, there is an accident that'll be slowing things down in that area. So be careful today with a morning thunderstorm. And come Friday, sunny and 56 should be good for Game 1. And looking at Saturday, Game 2, game time at 2 o'clock. Expecting maybe some showers in the morning, but then just some clouds in the afternoon. So fingers crossed we can get that in without issue. Right now, though, cloudy, a little bit of scattered rain and mist. It is 38.
Wednesday, February the 12th. No Jamie Bradford today. He's on Mondays. That's what he did on Monday. He joined us. You can go to our podcast page and check that out. He had a lot of baseball information for us, Preston Thorne, as we get you set, get you ready. 2 days away from the opening of the Paul Mainieri era over at Founders Park. Richard weighed in this morning on it, and Richard may be right. He said, I got a feeling everyone's going to be disappointed with baseball results. Just seems like a lot of hype around things and people expecting some awesome team. Are people expecting some awesome team? I don't know what we're expecting. That's why I asked the question. But what do you feel like when we talk with people, what do you, or you read, I read the text, what do you feel like you're getting in feedback from this, from the fans on the expectations?
Yeah, I'm not sure how people feel because there's contradicting issues. There's the low rankings, but then there's the new coach. There's a lot of reasons. I think people just feel something. They did not feel anything last year, regardless of what was happening. Were we up? Were we down? And that's the last thing you want to have in a fan base is apathy. And when you looked at the attendance, when you looked at performance, that's what you felt last year. So for this year, I don't know what to expect. Will they be? I do think they will be fundamentally better. However, how does the record turn out? I don't know. I just think people are glad to feel something going into a new year.
I've put out on Twitter. You can go to my Twitter account, X account, whatever we're calling it, at Wild. I feel old, by the way, when I say that. Whatever the Twitter or the X, I don't know.
It's X.
But at Will, W-I-L, Gunter, G-U-N-T-E-R. I put out a poll question. What are your expectations for South Carolina baseball in 2025 and Paul Mainieri's opening season? Just be competitive. Right now, about 4.5%. Regional is acceptable, 34% on that. Be super regional, 54.5%. Preston Thorne. How about that? That surprises me a little bit. And then Omaha or bust so far, 6.8%. There's a 0.1 percentage that's missing in there. But be super regional. I feel like that's the goal, and this is the good thing. And you talk about people feeling things. This is the good thing about South Carolina baseball because I think people are going like, hey, everything's in place. We got our coach. I feel excitement. I don't feel a sense of dread that I'm going to be let down.
Yeah, and that's the biggest difference between approaching this year and last year. Whether the talent gap is there, or whether they have enough arms, all of the ins and outs of a baseball season, Preston, feel more confident in the leadership of the team.
Definitely looking forward to it. And again, we'll have a lot of coverage for you right here on 107.5 The Game. We'll cover it try and cover it the best we can tomorrow and Friday. Monty Lee, assistant coach, will join us from 8 to 8:15 tomorrow morning. Friday morning from 8 to 8:15, we'll have former Gamecock shortstop Joey Pancake. Are you guys aware he hit two home runs on National Pancake Day?
Okay.
Remember that? What, you don't remember? You don't know what I'm talking about, dude.
That specifically.
Yeah, that was like once he did that, every time he came to bat, basically announcer, I think it was written into law that they had to let us know that once he had done that, I forget if it was early in his career too, Preston. So they were gladly, even his senior year, they were reminding you that when the day of Joey Pancake hit 2 home runs on National Pancake Day. But he'll join us coming up at 8 o'clock on Friday morning, and then also Kip Bulknight. We'll get his take coming up 8:30 on Friday morning as well. So we got a lot to get to. Tonight, over at Colonial Life Arena, we will have coverage for you, South Carolina and Mississippi. 6:30 pregame, 7 o'clock tip-off. It'll be the Gamecocks looking for their first SEC victory, and you got to do it against number 19 Mississippi. Last night was fantastic in the SEC. You had number 1 Auburn go on the road and knock off Vanderbilt 80-68. You had number 2 Alabama go on the road 103-80 over Texas. You had a 2 top 22 matchups. Number 3 Florida against number 22 Mississippi State. Florida wins 81-68. And then the big one, Tennessee falls on the road at Kentucky 75-64. South Carolina looking for their first victory in conference. They're going to have to do it again against a ranked team. By the way, also Texas A&M, number 8 in the country, knocked off Georgia last night. Jay Billis talked about the strength of the SEC. There's a key portion of what he's about to say. Here's what Jay Billis had to say about the strength of the SEC.
Paul, I have never seen anything remotely like what we're seeing in the Southeastern Conference this year. The non-conference success has not been seen since the ACC in the mid-1980s. That's so long ago. I played in the league back then. But the biggest difference in comparing those two is the ACC was 8 teams then. It's a lot easier to have 8 really good teams than it is to have 16 really good teams. And it's going to cause the tournament selection process a problem because you're going to have teams with losing records in conference that are going to be significantly better than some teams that are finishing in the top 3 or 4 in a couple other leagues, power leagues. They're going to have to really dig in because every game in this league is quad 1. It's absurd. I've never seen anything like that. In South Carolina, you could say, okay, they're the quote-unquote worst team in the Southeastern Conference. They haven't won a game in league. They beat Clemson before the conference started. Like they had a 14-2 record or something like that coming into conference play. This is the most powerful basketball league, top to bottom, that there has ever been.
That there has ever been. That there has ever been. One more baseball. That there has ever been. That was what off of the Sandlot. You hear Jay Billis say it, Preston, and we talk about it. Look, South Carolina, should they be 0-10? No, they shouldn't. Should win some games here or there. But I don't. It's kind of funny that football this year we're like, maybe the conference wasn't quite as good. Basketball, we're like, holy cow! Look at the strength of this conference.
Yeah, and then maybe that's the idea of them playing when they had those stretch of games where they were playing all of these highly ranked teams so close and very close to victories. And I don't think Ole Miss is traditionally, if you go in to play a team that's 0-10, you probably would feel like you're going to walk in there and get a victory. I don't know if Ole Miss necessarily feels that way tonight or how they would feel.
Mississippi's a 4.5-point favorite.
Right.
It's not like they're coming in against an 0-10 team as a double-digit favorite. They're a 4.5-point favorite. And I guarantee you, if you did a poll around people who follow basketball in the SEC, if South Carolina won tonight, they'd be like, yeah, that's probably about right.
So even when I hear that, it makes me even maybe feel like it's a missed opportunity. Because this was a year where maybe you didn't have to win as many games in conference and still would have had those quad 1 victories to maybe boost you when it came down to bracketology in March. But because we're not even in the conversation, it feels like maybe there is a missed opportunity this year.
So we'll again have that for you tonight right here on 107.5 The Game, 100.3 The Game, Myrtle Beach. 6:30 pregame. 7 o'clock tip-off time for that, Mississippi and South Carolina. Tomorrow night, by the way, 6 p.m., right after Jay and Elijah, we'll have Carolina Calls with Lamont Paris, 107.5 The Game in Columbia, 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach, and we will have the women's game on 98.5 WOMG. You can go over there and catch the women's game, 6:30 pregame tomorrow night, 7 o'clock tip-off. There's some of your baseball and your basketball. Also, this morning we're going to get into a little bit of football. Now, this was wild information yesterday. I don't always believe Vegas. I don't always believe in Vegas. But did you see the Vegas odds for the likely winner of the, and this is, I say this tongue-in-cheek, Aaron Rodgers sweepstakes?
No, I didn't.
They've got two quarterbacks right now.
Steelers?
Welcome to the Steelers world, baby. Steelers and Aaron Rodgers.
Okay.
The Pittsburgh Steelers and the team that you projected yesterday, the Raiders, which seems far more likely, currently viewed as the top landing spot for a veteran quarterback, Aaron Rodgers. This is according to DraftKings.
That's a bad sign for Mike Tomlin because I wouldn't want to hitch my wagon to a 41-year-old quarterback. This feels like, okay, is this your last dance? Is this my last dance? Are we going to do it together? That doesn't feel right. However, I do think if there's anybody that could just sit down in a room with Aaron and be like, man, cut the crap, bro. Let's be a professional.
I don't think anybody can.
I think Tomlin could. I think Tomlin is maybe one of the few that Aaron Rodgers has a level of respect for because, quite honestly, he probably doesn't have that level of respect for many of the other coaches in the league. So maybe that will work, but I don't think that's a great sign if I was a Steelers fan.
This is according to DraftKings. Okay, I'm not just pulling this out of thin air. This is according to DraftKings. The 2025 NFL team odds for Aaron Rodgers. The Steelers lead the way, plus 200. The Raiders are right behind them, plus 300. As we were sitting here, I called it. I wasn't paying attention, but I called it. I think it was Boomer Esiason or somebody on our CBS Sports Minute mentioned the 49ers trying to work with Brock Purdy to bring him back. So I don't know why DraftKings has the 49ers as the team with the third best odds, the San Francisco 49ers. It feels like that is blowing up an organization that's kind of teetering on being either the number one draft pick or winning a Super Bowl, but the San Francisco 49ers are plus 350 according to DraftKings to be the next team for Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, that's an interesting. They don't want to pay Brock Purdy. But if they don't commit to their future, Aaron Rodgers is not a long-term solution, and it feels like that's them sort of throwing in the towel.
If you're Deebo Samuel, and we'll talk about this, who's now seeking his own trade, he's been given permission. Do you pause and be like, well, maybe I'll play with Aaron Rodgers? Or do you be like, I've got to speed up this process and get out of here in case they bring Aaron Rodgers in?
Check, please. Check, please. We're ready to go. Cash us out.
That is, again, Steelers, top odds. Raiders right behind them, plus 200, plus 300. 49ers, plus 350. And even though you're a free agent now and you're not tethered to any one team at the moment, I feel like this would turn you against your team. The Vikings have the fourth best odds, and they're relatively close at plus 400. The Vikings bringing him in to take over for Sam Darnold and keep J.J. McCarthy on the bench.
I'll burn my Vikings jersey. my hypothetical Vikings jersey that I don't have, I will burn it if they do that. Don't mess it up. Skull Nation until.
So, Aaron Rodgers, at least Aaron Rodgers will give us something to laugh about and keep us entertained as we go through some of this offseason. 803-404-6100. The NFL is really good. Their season wrapped up. I feel like this was scripted. Their season wrapped up Sunday night. Super Bowl was dull. It was boring. 40-22. Leave it to the NFL to call up Cam Newton. Hey, Cam, you mind doing an interview with anybody and poking some Bears and poking some Panthers and some Steve Smith Juniors? Cam Newton, we'll let you hear what he had to say talking with Travis Hunter. Cam Newton, not that you should be surprised, thought highly of himself, not so highly of the Panthers when he arrived. We'll explain that and let Preston laugh about that here as we roll along on your Wednesday morning. Preston Thorne, Bill Gunner, Jen Jensen. It is the early game. Bill Gunner for AAA Heating and Air. When it comes to HVAC replacements, AAA Heating and Air is the go-to name in the Midlands. They have guaranteed financing, no payments or interest for 12 months, and a 15-year parts and labor warranty. And that explains exactly why they are the absolute best in the business. But right now, AAA Heating and Air is upping the ante. They're making themselves even better. AAA Heating and Air is offering you up to 12-month payment plans with no credit checks for all repairs. That's right. If your HVAC system needs a repair, AAA Heating and Air is offering you up to 12-month payment plans with no credit check for all repairs. Homeowners just need a valid bank account, and you are all set. Give them a phone call today, 803-677-1500. Again, that's 803-677-1500. Call AAA Heating and Air today. Tell them Bill Gunner with 107.5 The Game sent you.
A little bit wet out on the highways, so could cause some extra activity. Might slow you down. Downtown Columbia Senate Park, there's an accident. Also find one I-77 northbound at Blythewood Road. That's exit 27, right at the exit ramp that is blocked. I-20 westbound at Alpine Road and Decker Boulevard at Percival. Also, we have a slowdown. 46 with showers today, warming up tomorrow, and then seeing some morning showers, maybe even a pop-up thunderstorm in the morning. 66 will be our high. 56 for opening day, mostly sunny skies. And so far Saturday, we might do okay. Some morning showers, but then clearing in the afternoon for a little bit. 61 for the high. Right now, 38.
803-404-6100. Gardner weighs in. Somerville Parksfield. Call Home Builders. Royal Blue and White.
Parsfield representing.
Richard and Joe Call were teammates who were grandsons of John McKissick. John McKissick was on their football team as well. McKissick was always recruiting.
Always be recruiting, man. Got to.
Ernest weighs in. Kaufman Road Park. East Side Printing.
Nice. See, this is it just makes you feel.
Another Ernest weighs in. In Ohio, growing up, it was Anderson Weldon. We played at Cargill Field. Ad uniform was black pants, black shirt, yellow letters.
Nice.
Learn something new every day. I never knew why it was called. I'm assuming I learned something new. Texter weighs in. Pony League. Pony. Pony League. Protect our nation's youth. If that is legit, it might be. I didn't think to look it up during the break, but Pony League. I always wonder why it was Pony League. At Lexington, it went majors, minors, then Pony League.
Okay.
Never could quite understand that, but he said Pony Baseball, Chesterfield, VA in the 90s, all the teams were based out of the local elementary schools. We were the Evergreen Eagles. Nice. We had Rockwood Park and Iron Bridge Park. No team sponsors, no field names, just field numbers.
Gotcha.
White uniforms with green pinstripes and green stirrups.
Ooh, stirrups. Love it. Will Pulmonary have stirrups? Over, under?
I go... Yeah, those are old school, right? Like, those are old school. Oh, yeah.
Okay. Well, we want to see it. I wonder.
803-404-6100. Mac weighs in. Polo Road, the Cookie Factory. Grew up playing with Trey Dyson from T-ball all the way up through the end of high school.
Nice.
Jacob from Lexington played for Charleston Air Force Base, Dixie Youth, red and white, and played at College Park Fields behind Ace Hardware. It is funny what you remember. Like, you remember exactly,
of course,
where everything is. Youth league baseball, I think, is something we all were forced to play. Now, maybe you got great at it. Maybe you loved it. Maybe you played it for a while. But at those early ages, I feel like we all were a part of it some way, shape, or form.
Mm-hmm. And we're all better for it. It's amazing. We still had good baseball players. And guess what? You didn't have to travel 100 miles to play another team. You could just play the little team in your neighborhood, and it's just fine. Everybody's okay.
Brad weighs in. Kaufman Park Road. Kings Exterminating. Matt weighs in. Bobby Richardson Park. Sumter Coca-Cola Bottling Company. White with black pinstripes. Really made the red Coca-Cola label pop.
I could see that. I could see that.
803-404-6100. I'll get to more of those as we continue to roll along this morning. I'm sure a lot of you, because in Lexington, we had a baseball draft. You'd go out, you do a little tryout. You didn't just get assigned to teams. There were drafts. And so most of the coaches knew how to finagle the draft, kind of massage the draft. But you might have been that guy who ended up on a team and you got to your first practice and you kind of looked around like, ooh, this isn't good. Cam Newton didn't even get to the first practice. Here's Cam Newton talking with Travis Hunter, just basically tearing down the Panthers about 10 years later from his time there.
When I was the first pick, I went into a locker room of losers.
How did you handle the pressure of being the top pick?
Let's put it in perspective. You're the top pick because what?
Where you play.
No. You're looking at it from a personal situation. I'm talking about from the professional situation. You're the top pick because that was the worst team in the NFL the year before. For me, I wanted to be the number one pick. You could potentially be the first pick, but bro, you have no way of impacting the game like a quarterback does. You can lock down the number one receiver. You can make impact plays on offense all you want, but it's still not like a quarterback. My issue is when I was the first pick, I went into a locker room of losers. Guys didn't know how to win. Guys didn't know how to prepare. It was a culture shock for me. The games don't mean a lot to a lot of people in the league like you would expect. It's just money. Not everybody has capabilities to be impact players. They're just players.
My sheet tells me that was 49 seconds. It feels like Cam Newton got a lot of words in 49 seconds, by the way. Tore down a lot of people in 49 seconds.
Yeah, locker room full of losers. Yeah. And here's the really tricky thing about this, because I played on a team. So I have to be sometimes cognizant of things I should say, things I shouldn't say, maybe stories that I can tell, stories that I can't tell, whatever the case is, because you never know who's listening, and you never want to have somebody catch a stray where you didn't want to. Well, Cam's apparently not worried about that. Because when you say you went into a locker room full of losers, of course the people that were in that locker room are going to be like, excuse me, sir? In fact, a Gamecock, not Travell Wharton, because, again, he's a Labrador Retriever. He just probably saw that and laughed. But Captain Muttlin piped up, and he's like, hey, man, what are you talking about? I was there. Steve Smith's like, oh, hey, I was Jordan Gross. Hey, I was there.
Richard says now I see why Steve Smith wants to punch him in the face.
Exactly. Because when you give that the shotgun justice of saying, oh, yeah, all of y'all were losers, and I'm here to save the whole franchise. It's me. That's a tough one. That's a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah. So, and basically it sounds like he's making excuses. So if his play wasn't fabulous, well, it's because of them, because I couldn't do it all. I mean, other people could be impact players.
I couldn't understand if he was referring to Travis Hunter playing wide receiver.
Yeah, that's what in the conversation. The context of the conversation was, I guess he was saying that as a quarterback, maybe you have more impact than maybe Travis Hunter. And yeah, I don't know. But here's the funny part. So Captain Merlin stepped up, and he's like, he's going along. He's saying, hey, for him to say that there was losers, that was a slap in the face. Goes on to mention that he had 3 interceptions that year, his career high. Captain's like, hey, I played well that year. What are you talking about? But listen to this part. He's like, this was a team who was 2 years removed from going to the divisional round. We lost a couple of pieces. We had checked down Jimmy Clausen at quarterback, so there was a bad year. So in the midst of trying to defend himself, he just shoots straight at Jimmy Clausen like, oh, yeah, we had this bum over here too. So that's so yeah, Captain Mullen said for him to say we were losers, that's crazy. And, yeah, in fact, they brought in a new coach. Ron Rivera came in. The team had a culture shift. They had a lot of pieces in place, and they ended up working out to be a good squad. It's just fascinating how things are spread about. And, yeah, I don't know. I don't think Cam takes a lot of consideration of what he says anyway. So
not now.
Definitely not now.
I didn't realize, you and I think have had this conversation here because we got these big screen TVs up in front of us. They're the first ever big screen TVs made. They look like they weigh about 97 pounds. But they do these segments, and I didn't realize the guy that's looking very flamboyant, who's always got the hat. I didn't realize until like a month and a half ago. So they'd gone through the vast majority of the NFL season that was indeed Cam Newton. And I was really, because I kept looking, I was like, man, it looks kind of like Cam Newton. But I didn't realize that was actually him. And that is now what he has embraced and who he has become.
Yeah, he's gone full-fledged into that mode. And he's not bad. He's entertaining for what is, and he does have some interesting things to say. But again, you have to definitely parse out. I don't think he thought that all the way through when you're talking into that concept. But here's the flip side of that. When we're talking about recruiting, when we're talking about all those types of things, that's kind of what the coaches are selling. Like, hey, we need you to come in here and change this thing around. We need you. Your class is going to be the thing that changes things. So it was just an interesting juxtaposition between guys that are in the media and guys that are just sitting around like, hey, man, I thought we were. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Cam doesn't. It's like Cam speaks, but he thinks he's only talking directly to Travis Hunter, and doesn't realize his voice is resonating out over the entire room. And then you got people like, hey, man. I was a part of helping you get to the Super Bowl. I was a part of helping. I was here originally with you, too.
Right. We built this together. We built this thing as we were. And, again, as for all reports, and this is just really based on what Travell has told me, great teammate, Cam. Great teammate, great quarterback, awesome locker room guy. But I don't think that was then, and this is in a new space. And that's what Captain Munn was saying is like, hey, man, I know you're doing first take and all, but relax.
803-404-6100. Yeah, Cam Newton. Being obnoxious, being himself, being that dude. 803-404-6100. If you want to weigh in this morning, I'll get back to some baseball. Your baseball memories, your Little League baseball memories. Remember, we got a poll going. Go to my X account, WILGUNTER. What are your expectations for this year's baseball team? I've got on there, just be competitive. Regional is acceptable. Be super. regional, or Omaha or bust. I'll give you the results, some of the results of that. We got that going for a whole day, so we can lead it into tomorrow at the end of the show as well. But you can go to my X account at Will, W-I-L, Gunter, G-U-N-T-E-R, where you can vote on that and let us know what you think. You're listening to Preston Thorne, Bill Gunter, Jen Jensen. It is the early game. Diamonds and chocolates and flowers, those are all, they're played out. Those are old Valentine's gifts. That's not what you want to get your significant other this coming week. You want to get them an insanely clean home. Trust me, insanely clean homes last longer than flowers. They're better than chocolate, and well, it's actually less expensive than diamonds. So take advantage of Zero Res right now because they are offering you an insanely great Valentine's Day deal. Mention me, Bill Gunter at 107.5 The Game. And when you book 2 rooms of cleaning for just $119, you will get 2 rooms cleaned for free. That's 4 rooms for just $119. At Zero Res, they're ready to help you have an insanely great Valentine's weekend. Call today and schedule your appointment, 803-262-4020, or book online, ZeroResColumbia.com. Again, mention me, Bill Gunter at 107.5 The Game, to get this insanely great deal. Zero Res, spell it backwards or forwards. It's the right way to clean.
Still a little bit busy out there. Highways are kind of wet and a little bit of patchy dense fog out there. Decker Boulevard at Percival Road. Also, I-20 eastbound at Alpine Road, you'll find an accident. Also showing that I-20 westbound being impacted there at Alpine Road. In downtown Columbia, Senate Street at Park, getting that cleaned up. The rain we're going to see off and on today. Some showers, 46. That's about as warm as it's going to get. But big jump tomorrow, 66 for the high with a couple morning showers. On opening day, we're looking for 56 for the high, sunny, maybe rain, but not until the evening. And on Saturday, a few showers in the morning, but by first pitch, should be clear, 61 for the high. Right now, it's chilly and 38.
Make sure you go to our website, 1075thegame.com, click on our contest tab, and then pick the over-under of the week. It is the Gamecock Traditions over-under contest. If you pick correctly and we select you, you could win a Gamecock Traditions gift card. This week's selection, Ethan Petrie, over-under, 1.5 home runs the entire weekend, all 3 games, against Sacred Heart. So, again, go to 1075thegame.com, click on the contest tab, pick the over-under of the week, and you could win a Gamecock Traditions gift card if you select correctly, and then we pick you. Again, it is the Gamecock Traditions over-under contest, and this week, again, Ethan Petrie over-under, 1.5 home runs this weekend against Sacred Heart. I was on X just a second ago scrolling and actually saw a tweet from Gamecock Traditions with an Under Armour script hoodie. Jen, what was the weather report for Friday and Saturday?
I think 56 on Friday and 61 on Saturday.
Okay, I know I am abnormally cold, so that does still seem like hoodie weather. So you can go to Gamecock Traditions and pick yourself up a hoodie there that they have got put out on Twitter just here a few minutes ago. Or you can go to our website, pick the over-under, 1.5 home runs for Ethan Petrie. Maybe win yourself a Gamecock Traditions gift card and go get one that way. 803-404-6100. Cam Newton elicits conversation amongst y'all. Texter weighs in. Cam is not entirely wrong. He probably said it as too much of an absolute, but anytime you have the number 1 pick, the team has skill and culture issues. He was definitely self-promoting his impact and the importance of the quarterback position, but there's truth to both.
Fair. They weren't number 1 for no reason at all, and it wasn't through hijinks, so it's fair. Cam just has to be a lot more nuanced with his words. He could have said something like, we had some strong pieces in place, which they did. They just needed me to come in there and complete the puzzle or something along those lines.
Because at that stage of the game, if you're in the NFL, nobody really sucks.
And I think that's a really interesting idea is that, especially in the NFL with the numbers being low, there's a lot less room for error. It's oftentimes culture issues, and that's why you see them bring in new coaches, which Ron Rivera came in and and as Captain Martin pointed out, Jimmy Clausen was the quarterback.
yeah. Just kick the can down the road. Cam says, y'all stink. Captain Muttlin just looks at Jimmy Clausen, was like, he stinks. Jimmy Clausen looks at somebody else. The offense coordinator is like, he stinks. Yeah, it goes all the way down the line. Another text weighs in. Even when Cam talks to Travis, he belittles him, saying how Travis won't ever be as impactful as Cam was. We used to be so proud that Cam was a part of the Panthers. Used to.
That's a tough one now. Let's slow down. Let's slow down because Cam was great by any measure, and he brought a level of respectability and competitiveness to that franchise which cannot be denied. So let's just slow down on that.
803-404-6100. Alan weighs in. Good text because we mentioned you grow up playing Little League baseball, and I feel like it's all Little League sports with coaches. It's all coaches, so I don't want to belittle anybody, but it does feel like Little League baseball coaches have a big impact on people. Alan weighs in. Columbia Little League, Palmetto Baseball League at Carolina Children's Home. Sharps formal wear, played for the legendary Mr. B, George Bellinger. Always had bazooka bubble gum.
Mark, that kind of guy. That's a good thing.
Michael weighs in.
Which by the way, to add on to our Cracker Jack conversation, I think we can put bazooka gum in that same category as Cracker Jacks. Like, I mean, we've done better. We can do better.
Not the best flavor and not good on your teeth.
Not good on your teeth. Flavor doesn't
I think
last long.
they were like sugar. They were sugar coated, weren't they? I mean, they dipped those things in sugar.
Like I said, I think you could just put those in
after
the
third bite, chew, whatever, it was out of flavor.
I think it's actually cornstarch, and I only say this because I watched something not long ago where they were showing how they make Big League Chew, and there's cornstarch that goes into it because that helps it not like stick to the paper and all that kind of stuff.
That was an advancement. That was a huge advancement in the bubble game.
Yep.
In the bubble gum game. Bazookas.
Texter weighs in, and unfortunately, I've seen this plenty. I had coaches coming to me want me to throw the tryouts in Dixie Youth to fall in the draft.
Yeah. Just act like you can't throw.
803-404-6100. One more. Hugh weighs in. The Boys Club in Wayne County, North Carolina. So keep sending those in, and we'll get to those. One other one. Reminder: we've got a poll out this morning. I got a poll out. Go to X. Go to @Will WIL Gunter, and I ask you the question of what is our expectation. We've been talking expectations for South Carolina baseball. What are your expectations for baseball in 2025? Paul Maneri's opening season. Just be competitive. Right now, about 7%. Regional is acceptable. 32%. Be super regional. 51%. So we're starting to set a bar here on what a lot of the expectations are, and then it's Omaha or bust, right at about 10%.
Okay.
So giving you an idea there that the early expectation is going to be super regionals, and we'll continue to go back to that poll and talk about that. I got that running all the way through tomorrow, so we can just kind of gauge and see what exactly everybody's thinking. 803-404-6100. Little college football discussion. Draft prospects for South Carolina based on the College Football Network, Preston Thorne.
Well, there's obviously a lot of guys that have been talked about as far as the draft. The draft is approaching. The NFL does a great job of never letting us leave their good graces. But the four guys that you would think would be on there, but there's probably one surprise that I would think. So they have right now Nicky Memori at number 30.
Okay.
At the 30th pick, going to the Buffalo Bills, which would not be a locker room full of losers.
No.
The strange thing is that the lower you get picked in the draft, the more probably better your team is going to be. So he has them going to the Bills. Then at 43, which would be in the second round, they have TJ Sanders going to the 49ers. Window closing. Window opening, window closing, window half shut.
It's being held open with a ruler.
Okay, the window is...
You just might need a little fixing, little duct tape.
The window's
it could easily slam shut. It could easily be taped back up.
I like that. Now, here's what the surprise was for me. Maybe not to us as Gamecock fans, but Demetrius Knight's stock is rising.
Yeah.
Is rising. And I think it's rising with his performance on the field. He hasn't even run at the combine yet, and I think what's going to be most beneficial to him, he hasn't sat down in front of these people. I think when he sits down in front of these people, talks about his chore list that he has to do and his maturity and all those types of things, I think his stock is only going to rise. They have him at 46 right now, and I think that's going to rise.
Correct me if you think I'm wrong on this. I think if you did 3 tiers of what's most important to NFL teams, talent level is 1. Mm-hmm. How good are you? Mm-hmm. Your potential, your ceiling is number 2. How good can you be? Your off-the-field character is 3. But I feel like with Demetrius Knight, what they're going to look at is see his off-the-field character, but they're going to see his age and be like, this is he's almost, and I joke about, I'm not joking and I'm joking, he's almost a veteran locker room presence the moment he steps into the NFL locker room.
When he walks in that locker room, he will be median age.
He might, yeah, exactly. I was going to say, he might be older than a lot of his third and fourth year teammates.
Correct. Yeah, and it's a sliding scale because as you go lower in the draft, the off-the-field stuff counts more because, yeah, of course, if you're super talented, we might maybe look the other way or ignore some red flags. But as we get lower and lower and lower, if you get down to pick 46 and you're a guy that has some off-the-field issues and you don't convince us in the meeting rooms, we can just pick somebody else with your same talent. So that's going to work in this favor by far. So he was at 46. They said he was going to the Falcons. We'd have to ask Tyler if that was a locker room full of losers. I'm not sure how that would work out. And then
Yeah, Kirk Cousins is out of there, I think.
I think. And then number 55 was Kyle Kennard going to the Packers, which would be a great landing spot for him.
I think one of the CBS Sports Minutes or something that we have in between breaks projected the Packers to beat the Bills in next year's Super Bowl, calling it the season of love.
That'd be a really good landing spot. He'd be landing with two other former Gamecocks, Keyshawn Nixon, who surprisingly still very, very good in the NFL. It surprises me. And then also J.J. Mbari is there too.
We'll wrap up hour 2 when we come back.
Press here for the good folks at QC Kinetics. Listen, you need to get yourself together. Do you have pain? Do you have pain in your shoulder, pain in your hips, pain in your knees, your backs? Whatever it is, the folks at QC Kinetics can help you, and they can help you with new technology called shockwave therapy. How does shockwave therapy work? It works by increasing the circulation to the areas that are affected, and it promotes cellular repair. The best part, there's no surgery, no drugs, and no downtime. Athletes have been using this technology for years. So if you ever wonder how they come back so quickly from injuries, part of it is that they use this advanced technology. So whether you're recovering from an injury or simply looking to enhance your healing, shockwave therapy could be the solution that you've been waiting for. QC Kinetics offers it now, and you can call them for a free consultation at 803-281-6860. That's 803-281-6860.
Bill Gunner for Corley Pool Solutions. All right, I know today it's raining, it's dreary, it's still chilly, so you're probably not thinking about your pool. I'm here to tell you, you do need to be thinking about your pool. Before you know it, it is going to officially be pool season. And Corley Pool Solutions, which services the Lake Murray area, they're ready to help you all the way out to the Northeast. Corley Pool Solutions offers flat rate pricing, including all of the chemicals. That's right. It is more affordable for you to call Tracy and Laurel Corley today, line up your maintenance, and have them maintain your pool than it is for you to do it yourself. Let me repeat this. It is more affordable to call Corley Pool Solutions, 803-445-8109. Contact the great team there and have them provide the absolute highest quality swimming pool service at the most affordable price to you and your family. So call Corley Pool Solutions today, 803-445-8109. Tell them Bill Gunner sent you. 803-404-6100. That's how you can weigh in this morning, as many of y'all are doing, whether it's your favorite Little League memory. This is a go. This takes you back. This is just being old. My favorite Little League memory is the coach coming out of the dugout and dumping the Army duffel bag of equipment.
Ah, yes, the Army duffel bag of equipment. Back in the days when people shared equipment. Just dump that bag out, get your helmet. Oh, man, that is a good one.
Jeff weighs in, says the flavor still lasted longer than Fruit Stripe. And talking about the
Fruit Stripe, absolute garbage. even at the time, even when you was young, you was like, this is so terrible. I can see that wrapping right now. The little zebra on there, straight trash.
Mike from Sumter weighs in. I played ball at Bobby Richardson Park in Sumter. Interlake medals with the baby blue shirts. And of course, tomorrow we will get you ready for the Corley Pool Solutions Checker Flag Challenge. He says, I'm super excited to see the duels at Daytona this weekend. And, yep, Jen, Josh Harris tomorrow, 8:30. It'll be time to make some picks and get into it with him. And I know you're excited about this week. I am excited for Sunday. Sunday's going to be a lot of fun. You'll have the South Carolina, Connecticut game at 1 o'clock, and we'll talk more about that. But then you'll have the Daytona later in the afternoon.
Yeah, and we already start, ramping it up because some qualifying runs today. Got the duels tomorrow to start setting the field a little bit more. And then, so there's really two good days, but even three as far as Cup Series goes. But, yeah, it's a full weekend racing. It be here.
Here's a baseball memory for you because this is what typically stands out. Texter weighs in. Played for Old Timey Meat Market.
Okay.
Awesome. Played for Old Timey Meat Market back in the day in Irmo at Seven Oaks. And our coach wore a cowboy hat. Big white chew in his mouth and cowboy boots, and he was awful. But our team was good.
There you go. There you go. He just let the talent play. He wasn't awful. He was just letting y'all do your thing.
Apparently so. Yeah, 803-404-6100 is how you can weigh in. We've been talking baseball names. We've been talking about your favorite memories of growing up as we get you ready for opening day on Friday. And again, we'll have a lot of coverage tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. Monty Lee, Gamecock assistant coach, will join us, and we'll cut up with him. Monty Lee's an interesting guy. I don't know if I'll bring this up. Monty Lee has coached. He has now seen the Ray Tanner era. He has seen the Mark Kingston era. And he is about to be a part of the Paul Maneri era. That'll be something that's kind of interesting to get his perspective on different coaches and how they gear up for opening day, and we'll talk about that. Speaking of gearing up, if you didn't see the video, Barstool Sports put it out, I think yesterday, or they obtained it and put it out. Old crazy John Rocker and Patrick Mahomes Sr., not too far down the crazy list himself. Patrick Mahomes Sr. came onto my radar during, I believe it was the Netflix QB series with the NFL games. Patrick Mahomes Sr., by the way, played baseball as a pitcher in Major League Baseball. This is how these two knew each other. But apparently they had a brouhaha, if you will, on Bourbon Street over the weekend.
They didn't have, I'm going to say it's a brouhaha because nobody actually touched each other, but there was just a little bit of a disagreement on the level of relationship we have. I think John thought they had a different level of relationship, and Pat firmly reminded him that, no, we do not. And it kind of made my heart warm a little bit because I do like this idea of like, hey, man, I didn't like you then. I don't like you now. And I feel as if that was a very fair representation for our guy, Pat Mahomes Sr.
So, clarification, Rocker and Mahomes both pitched during their MLB playing days, were both briefly in the majors at the same time. Didn't play on the same team. Mahomes pitched from 92 to 2003, while Rocker was in the majors from 98 to 2003. Didn't play on the same team. John Rocker yesterday did John Rocker things, by the way. He went to X.
Of course.
He's got the video of the Barstool Sports brouhaha. This bleeping loser can't take a bleeping joke. Wish I had laid him out right there and ruined his bleeping weekend even more.
Uh-huh.
John Rocker being John Rocker, everybody. It's the John Rocker experience.
Directly underneath that, Pat Mahomes Sr. said, keep my name out your mouth. So,
oh, I didn't see that.
So there was a fair exchange. They exchanged pleasantries in the streets and in the internet streets. So it all works well. But that's all I'm going to say. I don't know if they were teammates, but I did say this earlier, and it just strained the memory. Just because we were teammates don't mean we were friends. Or just because we were cordial at one point doesn't mean we're friends. And sometimes time does not heal that wounds. So I get it, man. I understand. I said I have one teammate. I would not shake his hand if he was. I wouldn't hold his hand if he was falling off a building, and that's fine. We don't ever have to speak ever again in life, and we're both doing okay. In fact, I think this is just really a one-person rivalry in my mind, and that's okay. That's how it happens sometimes. It's got to be like that.
John Rocker.
It'd probably be a very
How
similar.
we've missed you doing stuff that gets us talking, and Patrick Mahomes Sr. taking 2 L's on the weekend.
Rocker still looks like. I mean, I know there was some accusations about him on the PED front.
I sent that to somebody last night, and they said you can tell by his forearms and biceps he's still doing the steroids. I was like, oh boy.
Allegedly. Keep it safe.
Hour
legal.
3 on the way.
They say perfection is a journey. Well, that journey led us to Carolina Stone Craftsman just outside Columbia in Chapin. We had a couple bathrooms that we were doing some updates to. Got the cabinetry all taken care of. Needed countertops. And we were recommended to head up there. First time we went, we just toured their showroom, which is incredible. You've got to check that out. They now have an outdoor showroom that they're finishing up to show you more of what they can do as far as outdoor hardscapes are concerned. But our process with everything inside, as far as countertops in those bathrooms, went beautifully. They were very helpful in the process in figuring out what exactly we needed, and all facets of the installation went beautifully. So I'm encouraging you that if you need any kind of countertops for your kitchen or bath, reach out to Carolina Stone Craftsman. Tell them Jen Jensen sent you. They're family-owned and operated, Carolina Stone Craftsman, just beyond Columbia in Chapin, and definitely beyond your expectations. They are carolinastonecraftsman.com. And out there on the highways this morning, we are encountering a few slowdowns, including Bushbury near Highway 302. I-20 westbound between Spears Creek Church Road and Alpine Road, so between 82 and 76, traffic is currently stopped. So if you haven't gotten on the interstate yet, don't. You can try to find an alternate route. Again, that's I-20 westbound between exit 82 and 76. Also, I-26 eastbound there at Piney Grove Road and in downtown Columbia, trying to get things cleaned up. Senate at Park. And that forecast for you Going to be 46 with some showers today. And then we're also looking for a high of 46 with some showers.
Eight a.m. as we roll along on a rainy, dreary Wednesday. Feels like a Monday. It does with the weather out there, but a Wednesday morning here in the Midlands. Get up and get going. We have been talking baseball expectations. We'll get back into those coming up this hour as our countdown until opening day rolls along. And again, we'll have a lot of coverage for you right here on 107.5 The Game. Tomorrow, Monty Lee will join us at this time slot to talk about his tenure with South Carolina, but also his expectations for 2025. We look forward to that. Coming up on Friday, we will have Joey Pancake at the 8 o'clock hour and Kip Bulknight both join us on True Opening Day to get you ready for that. Also, coming up on Friday, it'll be the Schroeder's Towing Road Show live from the Village Idiot on Whaley Street. Go hang out with our crew over at Whaley Street and the Village Idiot and check out Brian Glenn. Check out some of the great pizzas that they've got going over there. Have yourself a slice of pie, if you will, as Brian Glenn would call it, before opening day. We will be there from 12 until 3, so you can go by and hang out and visit with our crew. And again, catch yourself a little bit of pizza. Maybe you want some wings. Are wings a good wings aren't really a baseball-related food, though, are they?
No, I don't really think of it in that manner.
So, yeah, you can also check out the new asparagus. I'm not sure. For the risk of losing my job, I'm not going to pronounce how I think he's got it. It's just an asparagus pizza is their February pizza of the month. Red sauce base. See if you two what you think. Red sauce base, mozzarella, bacon, asparagus, sausage, red peppers, and a pesto swirl.
It actually sounds really, really good. I'm not sure about the asparagus, but I figured if all the other elements draw me to it, then even if I don't like the asparagus, I can take it off. But that sounds like a really good pizza.
Okay.
With all the other stuff on it.
I'm with you.
I'm in agreement. And also, I would just feel like I'm just going to trust Brian Glenn's judgment.
He's what do you want to say? A pizza savant, maybe. So I think if he says it's good, it's worth a try.
So, swing by and hang out. The Schroeder's Towing Road Show, again, over at Village Idiot on Whaley Street. And, again, you can try that pizza. And you know what? As we do as a foodie show on Monday, you can text or call in and give us suggestions on what you think. So we'll talk more baseball here as we go into the rest of the hour, get back into some expectations. We do have a Twitter poll out. Go to my Twitter account or my X account @Will, WIL, Gunter, GUNTER, where you can vote for what are your expectations. Just be competitive, get to a regional. And I just said get to a regional. I think about this now, and we'll talk about this in the next segment, so I don't want to spend too much time on it. Should have I said host a regional? Get to the be super, go to a super regional, or Omaha or bust. So we'll talk about that. Coming up tonight, though, we've got basketball. South Carolina looks to pick up their first conference victory of the season. They are 0-10. They go against Mississippi, who is now ranked 19th nationally. Rebels come in just a 4.5-point favorite. I mentioned winning on the road has been really difficult in the SEC. Last night, that wasn't true. Florida goes to ranked Mississippi State and wins. Alabama goes on the road to Texas and wins. Auburn went on the road to Vanderbilt last night and won. The two exceptions to that, Texas A&M at home beat Georgia. Kentucky at home beat Tennessee.
So what are you saying? You're saying that the trend stopped last night? Are you just saying that the league is so difficult that people win on the road that it doesn't matter? Does home court advantage matter? Will there be a home court advantage now?
What I feel is in January, home court advantage was huge. You saw Tennessee, who I think was number one, go down to Florida, and now Florida clearly is pretty good, but you saw Florida win by 30. You would see these games. Auburn comes here and escapes with a 3-point win. Florida comes here and escapes by scoring in the final 5 seconds. It does feel like we're seeing that corrected now. But who knows? Maybe South Carolina tonight can pick up a victory. I tell you what, Jen, let's do this again because this is speaking to the strength of the league. This is Jay Billis with Paul Feinbaum yesterday. I want you to listen to the very end because, Preston, again, we're not used to basketball being the power sport of the SEC, but here's Jay Billis on with Paul Feinbaum talking about the strength of the SEC in basketball this year.
Paul, I have never seen anything remotely like what we're seeing in the Southeastern Conference this year. The non-conference success has not been seen since the ACC in the mid-1980s. That's so long ago. I played in the league back then. But the biggest difference in comparing those two is the ACC was 8 teams then. It's a lot easier to have 8 really good teams than it is to have 16 really good teams. And it's going to cause the tournament selection process a problem because you're going to have teams with losing records in conference that are going to be significantly better than some teams that are finishing in the top 3 or 4 in a couple other leagues, power leagues. They're going to have to really dig in because every game in this league is quad one. It's absurd. I've never seen anything like that. In South Carolina, you could say, okay, they're the quote-unquote worst team in the Southeastern Conference. They haven't won a game in league. They beat Clemson before the conference started. Like they had a 14-2 record or something like that coming into conference play. This is the most powerful basketball league, top to bottom, that there has ever been.
One of the things I've really tried to work on as I've been doing this job and trying to improve is I've tried to make strong declarative language, not saying probably or maybe, or like Jay Billis there, quote unquote, the worst team. No, Jay, we are the worst team.
I was laughing about that.
We are. You don't have to quote unquote it. You don't have to probably. You don't have to soften it. The record shows that we are the worst team in the Southeastern Conference. Now, that being said, could the worst team in the Southeastern Conference beat some other teams? Maybe, but we don't have to soften that language.
Look, South Carolina's 3-0 against the ACC this year.
There you go.
South Carolina's 3-0 against the ACC. I did see some kind of transitive property where, by virtue of what they've done, South Carolina is technically the ACC leader right now in that conference. Now, I do know that the Clemson victory obviously is very impressive. And look, if you're going to take anything away from this season, South Carolina men's basketball beat Clemson. We continue. Lamont Paris is now 2-1 against the Tigers.
Feels like a long time ago.
It does feel like a long time ago. On the flip side of that, Boston College is 10-13 also. They're 2-10 in conference, and Virginia Tech is 11-13, 6-7 in conference. So your other 2 wins are over teams with overall losing records. But tonight they go for this victory. 4.5-point underdog. Obviously, we'll discuss it a little bit tomorrow. We'll see what happens. But you do hear Jay Billis. I think that's a wild statement, dealing in a definitive. This is the strongest basketball conference there's ever been.
Yeah, so he did get declarative on that, and I'd have to go through and look, and I'm sure some folks in the ACC, maybe the old school Big East, might have some objections to that as far as
and
ever.
Billis, as he said, is an ACC guy.
Right. Yeah, that's cool. The conference is very strong. We'll see what happens in tournament play. The other point about the worst team in the conference has pushed a lot of these top teams to places where some people say they should have won, but they could have won several games against some of these top teams. And maybe that does speak to the strength of the conference.
803-404-6100, a few other things. Fatigue, Preston Thorne, team fatigue. Numbers saying no?
Everybody says they're tired of the Chiefs. The Super Bowl numbers say no. The AFC numbers say no. Coach Staley mentioned that maybe there's some South Carolina women's basketball fatigue around the nation. The numbers say not so. They broke another record again. The highest viewed game was the game on Sunday versus Texas. The number 1 viewed game, according to ESPN's numbers this year. And so it's just interesting to me how when we say, like, oh, people getting tired of this team or that team, but everybody's still tuning in to watch these teams and watch these games perform. So I just think that's a very interesting juxtaposition of everybody's tired of them. Not really, because the numbers, according to these sources, say differently.
Let's listen. This is Dawn Staley. Last night, Jen, I apologize. This is number 6. This is Dawn Staley on Carolina Calls giving her thoughts on that loss at Texas.
Texas disrupted us. I thought we had a really good game plan in knowing that they were going to make entry passes hard. We just couldn't execute it. And I think early foul trouble really impacted our ability to defend the way we needed to defend. Because psychologically it does have an impact. If Sanaya Fagan gets 2 fouls, she can't be as aggressive, and quite honestly, she just played conservatively, and we're not a conservative defensive team. And when you're able to get us to do that, it just creates so many other problems. Tina Pau picked up 2 early fouls, so you don't want to get in your gap help because you just don't want to put yourself in a position to pick up another foul. So I think we just impacted by the fouling situation and their ability to make each pass really hard for us to just get into any fluidity from an offensive standpoint.
It feels like Dawn's so happy to talk about. Like, she's able to really break it down and analyze the minutia
Gap
of what
schemes,
went. Yeah,
entry passes.
This would be our nerd segment right there.
Absolutely.
That would be Dawn Staley getting all nerdy and breaking it down and analyzing what happened.
Absolutely, yeah.
And you can tell she just, because they've lost to number 1 and now number 3 on the road. Nobody's, I guess technically by point spreads they've been upset, but it's not like, oh, you lost to an unranked team. You lost to a team ranked closer to 25. And it feels like Dawn knows, hey, I can use these losses to push the right buttons in March to get the win.
And I think what she can tell them is that the margin for error with this team, I think what I'm finding out is that the margin of error for this team is slimmer than it's been in years past. So they will have to execute those entry passes and stay out of foul trouble, all the little things that they may have been able to get away with in the past.
803-404-6100. We'll get back into some baseball discussion. Paul Maneri speaking, air and fit with D1 Baseball yesterday on the postgame show. We'll talk about that and give an update on our poll this morning. What are your expectations for South Carolina baseball this year? Go to X and check out the poll at Will, W-I-L, Gunter, G-U-N-T-E-R. You're listening to Jen Jensen, Preston Thorne, Bill Gunter. It's the early game.
It's Jen for CHW Cabinetry in Lexington. Still loving the cabinets that they put in a little over a year ago in our kitchen when we had to completely gut it. And it was such a great experience that we had a few more projects to do in the house that we planned, not like what had happened within the kitchen. But we ended up changing out some cabinetry in a couple of bathrooms. And I'll tell you, it was still a great experience all the way around, very helpful. And installation was great, timing perfect. Could not be more thrilled. They can do so many things to help you in a kitchen or a bath, maybe a home office workspace. They can get your pantry more functional. They can make your closet more functional so that maybe you don't have those wire hanging racks anymore. Maybe you'd like some built-in drawers in a closet. All that to be very helpful. Visit chwcabinetry.com or call them today at 803-520-6837 and be sure to tell them Jen Jensen sent you. Locally owned, women-owned business, CHW Cabinetry, passion from inspiration to installation. Stop and go traffic I-20 westbound between Spears Creek Church Road and Alpine Road. So things are moving. Just stop and go between exit 82 and 76 on I-20 westbound. Also encountering that on I-26 eastbound between mile markers 108 or 101 and 108. So again, that's I-26 eastbound stop and go starting at the Ballantyne exit there, exit 101 through exit 108. Also a couple accidents, I-20 eastbound at Alpine as well as I-20 westbound at Alpine. I-26 eastbound at Piney Grove Road also experiencing a slowdown. 46, that's about all we're going to get with showers today. 66 tomorrow with some morning thunder, and opening day 56, sunny skies. Right now it's 39.
Opening day, not far away. Again, you can go to our 1075thegame.com page, click on contest, and you can pick the over-under of the week. And if you pick correctly, and we select you, or we pull your name, you could win a Gamecock Traditions gift card. It's the Gamecock Traditions over-under contest, and this week it is the number of Ethan Petrie home runs for the weekend, not just the game, for the weekend. Over-under 1.5. I'm taking the over. I'm going with the over. I got faith in him. Gamecock Traditions over-under contest. Again, go to 1075thegame.com, click on contest, pick the over-under of the week. I also put on Twitter a retweet of a sweatshirt they had out there, a black sweatshirt with a script Carolina on it. And as I said, even though I despise cold weather, it would be perfect for the weekend. So you can win yourself a gift card going over to Gamecock Traditions and maybe pick one up there. I go over. I go over on Petrie.
That would be a good thing. I would assume if that hits, then it'll be a good weekend.
Growing up, did you have a baseball player that you tried to emulate to be like? Was there a particular guy that you tried to pattern your swing after? Or?
At what point?
I was gonna say, how much did it change?
It changed several different times. First, my guy was Kirby Puckett.
Oh,
because I just found a little round guy running around. I was like, oh yeah, he's shaped like me. Maybe that's my guy. Then it was Jim Thome with the Indians because I love the way he wore his pants and the way he used to round off his home run trot. Mo Vaughn was my guy as I got older. I was like, oh, yeah, that guy looks like me. Dave Justice. This thing goes on and on and on and on. In fact, one of my favorite follows, if you just purely nostalgia, is the batting stance guy, where it's this dude that just gets in various players from the 90s batting stances and hits like them. It's my favorite thing to follow.
Yeah,
it's my favorite thing to follow.
I would get mad because I wasn't a lefty, but I would try to act like King Griffey Jr.
There
swing.
You go. You just got to, yeah, man. I mean.
And then I think was it David Justice who had the high knee?
Very high knee kick, single arm flail back. Yeah, yes. This was all part of the creativity that, again, not to do this, but we lose when we train all these guys all the time. But yeah, go up there and just play this whole game, and I'm going to try and hit this whole game like Jeff Bagwell. I want to be in his stance this weekend. I don't know. It's just fun.
Bob weighs in. I played for Midland Shopping Center for Dentsville Little League on Decker Boulevard.
Nice.
My coach was our milkman from Pet Dairy. The best memories were the rainbow snow cones after every game, and rainbow was the only flavors.
Okay. All right.
Mike?
A lot of nostalgia in that one.
Let me go back to this. Texter weighs in, no name, because I guess he didn't want to embarrass his dad. In second grade, my dad was asked to be an umpire. He called strike 3 on a pitch above my head. Mike weighs in, says played for Kaufman Road Park for Green Lawn Memorial, yellow and green uniforms. Coach Bobby Griffin, a legend, also played for Pokey Reese at Lower Richland, or played with Pokey Reese at Lower Richland for Henry Mixon, who was his brother-in-law to Lexington coach Tommy Williams. So pretty cool there. Scott weighs in. I also played at Seven Oaks around 1984. Won a championship with Midland train team back in my Major A days. And then another Mike weighs in. Lucky watermelon flavored bubble yum. Chew the same piece for an entire season. Says adding half a piece for flavor every game. And then, wall ball. Did you ever play wall ball? Old wall ball?
We didn't call it wall ball. We called it something else. I don't think we can say it on the air.
Okay.
But, we did.
803-404-6100. So we're asking this morning as we get you ready. I really find this interesting, fascinating, whatever you want to say, because South Carolina last year was 37-25. They were 13-17 in conference play. There were games, Preston, that I feel like last year a lot of people go, boy, if our fundamentals are better, we win that ball game. Maybe we're 17-13 in conference and not 13-17. Maybe we're 41-21 instead of 37-25, and we're hosting a regional. And you return a lot of good pieces to this team this year, and you return a championship-level coach, a guy who, as you've pointed out, expectations match those of the expectations of the fan base. This is Aaron Fitt with D1 Baseball yesterday on the postgame show with Jay and Elijah. Here's his expectations for the University of South Carolina.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. I'm still trying to get a feel for it, to be honest with you. You know, I mean, it feels like this team is lying in the weeds a little bit. You know, the spotlight is not going to be on them. I don't know if anybody's picking them, to be certainly not a top 25 team. I don't think. I don't think they've been ranked anywhere. And then I don't know that people even expect them necessarily to be a regional team. And so it's not a bad place to be when you're a program that has some talent and certainly has pedigree. I mean, this team has a chance to surprise people because there are guys here. I mean, there's some players that have experience of winning and superstar players like Ethan Petrie. I guess a superstar player, Ethan Petrie. We know how good that guy is, and I don't know. It's just how good are they going to be? I mean, that's a great question. Obviously, we're not really buying in. We're, again, not picking them to be in a regional, but I'm also not going to say, they got no chance. They stink. I think they're absolutely a contender to be a regional team, but it's just the SEC. There's so many good teams in this league. You got to jump some. And so, I think Paul Maneri has been around the block a few times. He certainly has a knack for getting the most out of the players on his roster and pulling the right levers at the right time as you get into the season. I think his in-season adjustments is one of the most impressive things about him. I feel like every year, at LSU, he'd come up with some guy who was like a position player only, and all of a sudden he's a key pitcher or vice versa. Some guy you never heard of who just emerges, in May, and is the guy for him. And so that's something to keep an eye on is which levers is he going to pull in key spots down the stretch.
Interesting what he says there about a guy who comes out of nowhere, basically might have been playing outfield but becomes a key pitcher in the month of May. Preston, at the University of South Carolina with the baseball program, when you play teams with the name Sacred Heart, when you play Winthrop, Queens, Milwaukee, Gardner-Webb, all well-known baseball establishments, you expect to be undefeated when you go to the end of the month series against Clemson, right? Like, that's the way.
That's a fair expectation.
That's what you expect. I mean,
yes, you expect to be undefeated. Baseball's fickle, and sometimes things happen. I get
run into a hot pitcher.
Yeah, I get all of that. But yes, you expect to be. That's not unreasonable.
That right there would give you your first two series in your midweek game. South Carolina with the 3-game series against Sacred Heart this week, followed by next Tuesday at Winthrop, 4:00 up at Rock Hill, and then that'll be followed by a Wednesday game against Queens. The following weekend is Milwaukee. Look, we're not going to lie to you and say we know anything about Milwaukee baseball. We have no clue. I know this.
I believe this time around last year we learned about the Camels.
That was 2 years ago when they came to town.
Yeah, the Camels. So maybe we'll get some mascot fun here.
The only reason I know it's not the Brewers is because it appears to have a panther of some type, some kind of cat, on their logo. But Milwaukee. But then that leads us into Gardner-Webb. But Aaron Fitt brought up something, and you've heard this kind of mentioned, and Jen will play this as clip 3. South Carolina really finds out who they are in the Clemson series, and that will be February 28th. That Friday night will be up at Clemson. Saturday, March the 1st, will be over at Fluor Field in Greenville, and then Sunday, March the 2nd, here at home. This is Aaron Fitt yesterday talking about the importance of the Clemson series.
don't know if I'd call it any bigger than ever. I mean, it's like you said, it's big every year, and I think it's just kind of the same. I think it's just has a little bit extra intrigue anytime you've got a new coach, and especially a famous coach like Paul Maneri, a national championship winning coach. That adds to the intrigue a little bit. It's certainly one that we're going to have our eye on. Especially because it's a big barometer for South Carolina in particular. I think we kind of know Clemson's going to be a good club, and we have them 15. We're probably a little low on them, to be honest. They probably wind up being a top 10 team. They tend to, I think, achieve a little bit above their talent under Bakich. It seems to be the way that's going. And actually, I think their talent is pretty darn good. I think we're just a little light on them, to be honest with you. But they're going to be good. But for South Carolina, that is a really important barometer of kind of where they're at before we get to conference play. How do they handle, a good opponent in a high-pressure environment? I think it's going to be fascinating, and I know we're going to have boots on the ground of that series, and it's certainly one of the highlights of the conference slate.
There you go. That will be a big series, but I think more so this year than any other year, you're entertained and you're brought in prior to the Clemson series because you want to see what this team looks like. Whereas maybe the last few years of Mark Kingston, you're like, sure, whatever, get through these no-name teams, get through this. Let's get to the Clemson series to find out who we are. I think this year you're kind of watching the Sacred Heart series. You're maybe watching the Milwaukee series going, okay, what are you doing? What changes are you making? What do we see different with batting or technique or philosophy?
What can we learn about this team and how they'll actually play the games when they get to the SEC by these games preseason? So I am looking forward to seeing that.
803-404-6100, how you can weigh in if you want to. We'll give you the updated results of the poll. We'll continue on. You're listening to Preston Thorne, Bill Gunner, Jen Jensen. It is the early game. Oh, hey, whoa. Yeah, sorry.
I'm thinking, hey.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you.
He's all excited about the giveaways, and he just was going to go past it.
We're right now, 803-404-6100. We're going to give you a chance to win two. We'll take callers 3 and 4. 2 family 4-packs of tickets to which game, Jen?
It is the Sunday noon game.
The Sunday noon game. So plan accordingly. Obviously, also, there's basketball taking place over at Colonial Life Arena. Sunday noon game, 2 family 4-packs of tickets. Callers 3 and 4. 2 family 4-packs of tickets. If you call a 3, if you call a 4, you win those tickets. 803-404-6100. You're listening to the early game.
Tired of dealing with pain? Maybe you're looking for a solution that doesn't involve drugs, surgery, big expenses, or long recovery time? Well, the folks at QC Kinetics now have shockwave therapy. What is shockwave therapy? You probably wouldn't know it just by listening, but what it is an advanced technique that athletes have used for years to advance their healing and help them recover from injuries. It works by increasing circulation to the area and promoting cellular repair. And as I said, there's no surgery, there's no drugs, and there's no downtime. In fact, you can get it done quickly, 30-minute consultation. You can be in and out in less than an hour. So whether you're recovering from an injury or you want to enhance your healing, shockwave therapy could be the game-changing solution that you need. Call QC Kinetics now for a free consultation at 803-281-6860. That's 803-281-6860.
In Columbia, Bull Street, south of Elmwood Avenue, we've had a report of an accident. Also, still working Bushbury near Highway 302. Clemson Road at Faro and I-20 westbound there at Alpine Road. Still working an earlier tie-up. And we're looking for 46 today. Showers are possible. 66 tomorrow, so that will improve. We'll have a little bit of morning rain, and that should clear. Looks like on Friday for opening day, mostly sunny, 56. And on Saturday, maybe some showers in the morning, but then those should then just cloudy in the afternoon, so should be pretty good for a 2 o'clock first pitch. Come Sunday, a little bit of rain and wind possible. We'll address that as we get closer to then. But right now, sitting at 38 on the early game.
Eight zero 404-6100, how you can weigh in this morning. As always, want to remind you, tonight we will have pregame coverage right here, 107.5 The Game in Columbia, 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach, of the basketball game, South Carolina and Mississippi. 6:30 pregame, 7 o'clock tip-off right here on 107.5 The Game for you. The Gamecocks look for victory number 1 in SEC play. John Rothstein put out a tweet just a little while ago. Ole Miss with a dangerous road game tonight at South Carolina. 5 of the Gamecocks' 10 SEC losses have come by 5 points or fewer. The average margin of defeat at home in league play for Lamont Paris team, 6.6 points per game. And remember, that's with a 20-point loss to Alabama as well. So his point when he's referring to that is the Gamecocks have played well at home. We'll see if that continues tonight. Right now, the point spread, for those of you very interested in this, point spread for tonight, 4.5. Mississippi's favorite, over-under set at 138.5.
There was a concept that I just starred and highlighted in the last quote when Aaron Fitt was talking about the Clemson coach, Bakich. He said his team to achieve above their talent. And I think that's something that I want to start paying attention to as far as a coach is concerned, because talent, as basketball says, 1 year you might have it, 1 year you might not have it. But how does your team achieve in relative to the level of talent that they have? When I was thinking about Mark Kingston, I don't think his team's ever overachieved. They played about just where you thought they would be, never going really over. And I don't think he ever coached them above their talent. And that's something that I do think Paul Mainieri will do, and that's something that I'll be looking forward to seeing this year.
I think you're right on that with Mark Kingston just not being able to constantly get the absolute best. Maybe he did 2 years ago. Remember they got to number 2 or number 3? I don't think they got to 1. But then the bottom fell out in the month of May, and things kind of came unglued. I will say this: South Carolina overachieved last year. That talent level, while Talon Cooper and B.J. Mack and Michi John, they were good. They overachieved for who they were.
Correct.
They have underachieved for this year. I'm not saying they're an NCAA tournament. I'm not trying to convince anybody that they were or are an NCAA tournament team. I'm really not trying to convince anybody that they are or were an NIT team. What I will say is they shouldn't be 0-10 in conference.
Agreed.
They shouldn't be that. And tonight's obviously an opportunity for them to pick up win number 1, and then you kind of move on from there and you go, okay, well, what's next? Look, maybe to fans, and understandably so, the season is gone. The season is over. You've moved on to baseball. You've started thinking about spring football. You're focused on March Madness with the women. Maybe you're paying attention to Ashley Chastain Woodard's group in softball, who, by the way, got ranked. Congratulations to them. But there is, for this team, for this program, for the movement forward, they've got to do some things. And you've got Mississippi tonight. Then you go on the road to Florida, who Florida all of a sudden has cut. To me, and I've watched a lot, Florida hit another gear. Like, Florida found another gear after their 30-point thumping at Tennessee. Then they went and got smoked up in Knoxville by Tennessee, who was down 2 starters. But Florida's hit another gear, and you've got them on Saturday night down in the O'Connell Center at 8:30. But next week, and this is why I say winning, you've got 2 winnable games next week. LSU is as bad. They're bad. Okay, they're bad. And on top of that, Saturday night, LSU gave up a 12-0 run to end the game to lose to Mississippi by 2. And then next week, you get Texas at home on a Saturday night. Texas is not good away from Austin. They're pretty good in Austin. You could win 3. Look, no one is claiming winning 3 or 4 conference games as a success. But you do need to do that to make people feel better.
You want to make people feel better, and also you want to make sure that people that your team is still interested and invested in the season.
Yeah.
It's very difficult at 0-10. So that's what I would be watching for. We're still watching for the effort. We're still watching for some of those things that, again, at 0-10, it could be very easy to check out.
803-404-6100. So that'll change. And now it'll be after we learn everything. We learn everything in the offseason, what the roster looks like, so forth, so on. We will then have an idea of what the expectations for that basketball team next year will be. Right now we're focused on the expectations for this coming baseball's season. I've got on Twitter, we've got this out all the way through tomorrow. What are your expectations for South Carolina baseball in 2025 and Paul Maneri's opening season? Just be competitive. People aren't going to be happy with that. I see 8.6%. Regional is acceptable. This is where it's good. These two are where it gets tricky. Where do you say, okay, year one of Paul Maneri was a success? Regional is acceptable, 36.7%. 46.1 currently on the Twitter poll say be super regional. And then 8.6 are those people who are like, it's Omaha or bust, and you're a failure if you don't do it. Okay, I got it. So and it's funny because you see just be competitive is 8.6 on our poll. Omaha or bust is 8.6.
I mean, it's good. That's a good poll, Bill.
Yeah.
That's a solid statistical poll. We got the 2 extremes. Let's move them out of the way, and let's talk to the reasonable people here in the middle. You did bring up this gradation between regional and hosting a regional.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of a difference. I hadn't thought about that, but that is a little bit of a difference.
They went to Omaha last year. They didn't go to Omaha. They went to Raleigh last year and ended up, they lost NC State, lost to James Madison. I tell you what, Jen, in just a second, I'm going to call for number 2 here. And this was from yesterday. This was Paul Maneri yesterday, on yesterday's cut sheet. This is from Monday when he spoke. I'm going to call for number 2. But Preston, you go back, the significance when you have a new coach, the significance of the fall practices and now the early season scrimmages before you get in. What is your take on that?
Yeah, you're just going to figure out what he's going to tolerate, what he's going to allow, and what you can or cannot do. And, you can have the meetings, but in the practices, maybe some habits that you might have had from the old coach, you probably find out very quickly that the new coach is not going to tolerate.
This is interesting. Again, new coach, new year, everything. Here is Paul Maneri. This is Monday with Jay and Elijah talking about the significance of the scrimmages before the start of the season.
Oh, I think it's a little of everything. You want to get your pitchers ready. That's priority number one. You're building up their pitch counts and trying to get them into shape to be able to go out there and pitch a little bit more extended once the games begin. Because in fall practice, you never have a pitcher throw more than 3 innings, and it's rare when you even have somebody throw that much. But now you're hoping that maybe your starters can go out there and give you 5 innings on opening weekend. So you got to get their pitch count up to 75 or 80 pitches. But at the same time, you want them to play the game the right way. The position players, they're hitting and running the bases and defense and so forth. And then there's still some question marks as far as who's going to win a job here and there. And it's always fluid. Nothing is ever etched in stone. And actually, some guys have really elevated their status on our team with the way they've performed over the last month. And that's exciting for us. I know the prognosticators out there don't think much of our team, but we think a lot of our team, and I think that's the most important thing. We're going to start this season with a great deal of confidence and believe that we can play with anybody.
He's noticing. Lamont Paris had a way of making comments about being picked really low. Shane Beamer had comments this past year about being picked low.
Don Staley had comments about being picked second.
Paul Maneri. He's letting you know he's taking notice. I might be old, but I notice.
I see things. But, Bill, did you hear the phrase? Did you hear him say it? Doing things the right way. Some music to my ears.
Very, very true. Yeah, Paul Maneri getting them ready. And, again, we'll have plenty of coverage for you coming up over the next 2 days as our countdown to opening pitch taking place here on 107.5 The Game, 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach, 100.5 The Game in Florence. We'll come back. We'll get your some of your final thoughts on your youth league baseball. I got plenty of text messages. We'll get to that. Final thoughts as well on what we've discussed today. You're listening to Jen Jensen, Bill Gunner, Preston Thorne. It is the early game. Bill Gunner here. Busy morning. Been a lot of fun. And as we roll along, I need to tell you about the Ecton Law Firm. John Ecton and his team. Well, if you've received one of those mean, nasty notices from the IRS, you or your business could be in a little bit of trouble. But you don't need to let it stress you out. You just need to contact the pros at the Ecton Law Firm and start with a free consultation. 803-771-9800. Tell them Bill Gunner sent you. Look, you don't want to deal, whether it's your business or your personal, you don't want to deal with the IRS maze by yourself. You need somebody there who's ready to help you, who understands the challenges you're facing and can help take that stress, that worry off of your shoulders and help get this thing taken care of. So call the Ecton Law Firm today. Whether you're in Columbia, Florence, Aiken, Augusta, Myrtle Beach, Ecton Law Firm is there to help you. 803-771-9800. Call them today. Tell them Bill Gunner sent you. Bill Gunner for Mid-State Roofing, where for nearly 30 years, Larry Leitner and the family have been the leader in the roofing and waterproofing industry. And we've gotten a little bit of rain here these last 2 days. Have you discovered a leak? Do you have a leak? Well, if so, it's time to let Mid-State Roofing take a peek. And guess what? 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, Mid-State Roofing is there to help you with a maintenance contract. Whether it's your home, whether it's your business, whether you're here in Columbia, whether you're in Augusta, whether you're in Charleston, Greenville, Mid-State Roofing is ready to help you this morning. So give them a phone call, 803-356-1919. Again, it's 803-356-1919. Let the on-call technician or the Mid-State Roofing employee help you with a maintenance contract. You can also visit them online at midstateroofing.com for more information. Give them a phone call today, though. Line up that maintenance contract, 803-356-1919. If you've got a leak, let Mid-State Roofing take a peek. 8:50 as we get you ready for Tyler and Jack coming up after us. Terry and Tyler later on today from 12 to 3, and then Jay and Elijah will wrap things up. Reminder, coming up on Friday, we will be at the Village Idiot on Whaley Street from 12 p.m. to 3:45 for baseball opening day. Come on out and hang out with us. Have a slice of pie before you head over to the ball field and hang out with the gang there as we get you ready for opening day. And South Carolina baseball should be a lot of fun tonight. Preston, yep, basketball. I'll tune in. It's going to be another, by the way, just overall, another really good night of basketball. St. John's, old Rick Pitino, Slick Rick up there. They're up to number 9. They're number 9.
As I stated, the difference between him and Dan Hurley is a dude that hasn't done anything wrong, but I don't like him. Rick Pitino has done everything wrong, and he kind of charms me, man. I still kind of like the guy.
They've got some kind of documentary on him on Rick Pitino right now.
It's nothing good.
Like,
it's all bad.
Danny Hurley's the guy who threatens you but doesn't do anything. Rick Pitino's the guy who stares at you and then you go missing. You sleep with fishes.
Yes, yes. I've heard and read things, but I still kind of like him.
Yeah, St. John's.
And he's a good coach.
He's a great, like I said.
Great coach, not good. He's a great coach.
They're St. John's tonight, 6 o'clock, FS1. They take on Villanova. St. John's 21-3. 21-3 on the season. They are the current leaders in the Big East. They got a 2-game lead up on Creighton. Your boy, Shaka Smart and Marquette, 19-6, 10-4 in conference. But Rick Pitino. South Carolina, on the other hand, like we said, just you're trying to build momentum for next year. Or if you want to be that person, and it's great, I'm okay with this. You're trying to build momentum for the SEC tournament to make a run through the SEC tournament to get to the You see where I was going. Like, if you're the eternal, we have our beloved missed Gamecock Larry would be telling us right now how everything's going to be all right. They're just going to get to the NCAA tournament and win out, and we'll be back in the NCAA tournament. And we miss Gamecock Larry for that eternal optimism.
Yes, we need it. It's not looking great. I am going to watch this game again. I want to see the effort.
Yep.
I want to see the team, see if they're still bought in, see if they can take care of some of the silly things that they've been doing all season, the unnecessary turnovers. As I told you, the bad shots taken early in the shot clock. Can they eliminate some of those things and just give themselves a chance to compete against this team?
So we've got that. Also, today we've discussed a little bit of Cam Newton. Locker room full of losers.
Yeah,
Preston Thorne.
Can't do that.
Preston Thorne, you arrived, you redshirted, but you legitimately arrived with a locker room full of losers because they were 0-11.
That's true.
And yet you didn't call anybody out.
And 1-10 before that. They were 1-21. So truly a locker room full of dudes who had not won. And all I had to do was walk in that locker room and see those dudes play football. And I was like, oh, wow. Why hasn't these guys won a lot of games? And it was clear that something had to change in the culture. The talent, there were pieces obviously there. And that's where I think Cam got that wrong as far as Ron Rivera coming in, doing some things, and changing the culture. He might have been the finishing piece because they needed that guy, and he was that guy. Don't disparage what Cam did. But that's really unfair to say a locker room full of losers.
Especially when some of those guys were winners. And I think
they were really good.
And I think you mentioned, I'm trying to think back to, they had been in the NFC title game?
Like 2 years before that. It was unfortunate circumstances that led them down that path, and there was some leadership issues that they needed to get corrected. They got them corrected. They got the quarterback, the number one quarterback, and the guys that were in place, Travell Wharton, Jordan Gross, Steve Smith, Captain Muddlin, Thomas Davis, on and on and on, guys that put it together. Yeah. They had a very nice run as the Panthers unit.
You mentioned John Fox had been there. The previous coach in 2010 when they did not go well, but in 2009 they had lost, I think, to the Eagles in the opening round. So Cam Newton out there doing Cam Newton things.
I think Cam would want to take. He doesn't take a lot back. I think he'd want to take that back.
I highly doubt that. It's been a lot of fun this morning. We'll do it again tomorrow. Josh Harris, our Corley Pool Solutions Checkered Flag Challenge, he'll join us. Also tomorrow, we will be joined by Monty Lee. He will give us the breakdown on what to expect. So we got a lot going on tomorrow. Justin Mackey also going to join us tomorrow to talk some basketball. Y'all have a great day.
Appreciate y'all. Preston here for our good friends at Absolute Glass, the premier glass company of the Midlands, offering auto, home, and business glass repair. So if your glass is damaged, shattered, cracked, or broken, they can handle the job. If it's a cracked windshield, that's no problem. They'll come out to your location and replace it for you, usually for free, and they'll work directly with the insurance company to take away the headache. That's right. They'll come out to wherever you are, school, home, work. It does not matter. Absolute Glass will take care of it for you. Now, if you're at home and you're looking to increase the value of your home, you can do that with new windows and mirrors, and Absolute Glass will take care of that for you too. Windows, mirrors, shower enclosures. Say it all the time. If you can see through it, Ray and Marianne at Absolute Glass can do it. So check them out online at AbsoluteGlassInc.com. That's online at AbsoluteGlassInc.com.